surprise, you thought we were done, but we got another video. We got another episode. This is like 3 or 4 episodes this week. In fact, the weeks are blending together so much that I don't even know where the week started and ended anymore. We're doing so many episodes now because things are happening. We got teams to preview. The season's nearly started. And this is episode number 226, APAC Previews Part 2, featuring Kenobi yet again. And if you just tuned in to watch 225 APAC Preview Part 1, we went through the first 3 teams, and now we're going to do the other 4 teams in APAC to really go over what is going on over here. So for this episode, it's going to be Shanghai, Spark, Valiant, and Fusion to round out the region. Guys, are you ready for some spice?
This one, if you thought the last one was spicy,
here we go.
I can tell you.
If you thought the last one was spicy, wait till you see where we all put Shanghai.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh boy. All right. It looks like we already talked about the Chengdu news in the last episode.
Right.
I can confirm nothing else happened between 3 hours ago and now, so I guess we'll just continue.
Yeah.
Episode 226 brought to you by Battlecrab, Refined Bean, Bronze Bar Buhao, Chare, Commissioner Picasso, Chris R34444, Casher 67, Lolshin, Pork Chop, Sammy, Rex Zane, Volamel, Smooth Nuts, and Your Misery. Team number 1, as you can already see behind me, the Shanghai Dragons, the reigning champions, currently the best team in the world from Overwatch 1. They have the 2020 MVP Flitter, 2021 Grand Finals MVP Lip, and a lot of other players. And some new ones.
True.
And they're missing a few players. So we talked about the fact that Develop and Molly went to the Guangzhou Charge. They were both bench players last year. Who Are You has been retained on as the 3rd DPS. Likely to be covering his specialty heroes and like the Genjis, the Dooms, and I think that's all he plays. So that's just that then. He played like Tracer back in the day as well. And they also brought on Bebe as another flex DPS option flex support option because they had a space available. It is interesting that they gave up on Molly. I don't know what happened there. Maybe Molly requested to be traded. Maybe Molly got fed up with being a bench player. Could have been the case. Maybe Shanghai just felt like they wanted a different option. They could have kept Molly. Molly could have decided to stay on. He didn't. And at first, most people were like, why the hell would Shanghai pick up Bebe? Like, what's the point of that? It sounds... He didn't do that well last year. Like, why would you pick up Bebe? But when you really look at the flex support pool who was available, and mind you, Kareev was still like on his way out, and as far as everyone knew, he wasn't playing anymore. So beyond that, I mean, your options were pretty limited because most teams picked up good flex supports already. So you're like, well, Bebe's available, might as well get him. And here he is. Now he's on the Shanghai Dragons, ready to receive a free chip this year, as they rounded out their entire roster with obviously Fate and Void returning. The best part about the team is that they won the season and didn't change anybody in the starting lineup. It's literally the same 6 players.
Yeah. I think in every season, if that were to be the case, I would probably look a little bit more skeptically. But with the caliber of players, with who these players are, and have been throughout most of their careers, it's kind of hard not to just be like in love with this team, because you know what they're going to bring, of course. But I think in general, most teams tend to just upgrade. You're splitting hairs with Shanghai if you're trying to argue some upgrades. Like, this team's just kind of nuts, just still is. Like, they cover all the bases, they check all the boxes, they're world class. How do you not like this team?
Yeah, I think when I look at Shanghai and kind of like their road to this, I mean, it's pretty crazy still that we had a team that was 0-40 win the league last year.
True. Yeah.
So narratively, this team's like one of the like teams that you can for. I think that they did the smart thing of just not removing anyone. And I remember last time I was here, I was a little bit bullish on like, oh, Shanghai's not really going to be like the best team. It's a new game. Yeah, fuck that. Like they're still just like gonna be the best team most likely. There's no way that I can really look at any piece of this team and be like, yeah, they're like struggling. Maybe they struggle here a bit. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. This team from top to bottom is just godlike, and it's going to take a Shanghai killer to beat this team. And Seoul potentially is that team. They need to like get like the 6 Infinity Stones or some shit. Like you gotta really work to consistently take this team out.
Yiska, your thoughts, but only in German for the German listeners.
Ja, das ist ein quasi unbesiegbares Team. Das ist vorbei. No, this is
Just make up some stuff. I feel like that wasn't German. I felt like you just made up something. I don't know.
Das war schon Deutsch. Das
okay.
But the I mean, this team is incredible. Like it is in my pound for pound just like the best Overwatch 1 team of all time. Relative to like the competition that they competed in terms of like, they are just like top 3 on every position. Once again, I have to like, if I was trying to snipe some controversy here, I'd be a little bit like question mark on let's say double projectile, where you actually have to play Who Are You. Then I'm like, okay, how's that going? I'm being a bit question mark on double flex support. Do I want Bebe on the server in a team in a team that is Shanghai? And like I still think if you now put, for instance, Twilight on the flex support position, I think that's an upgrade.
Yeah, but you're also getting really greedy here. It's like, might just get Leave on the bench with Proper on the bench too.
I mean, you have to cherry pick with this team, right?
Just like take all of the O2 blocks.
No, yes, your point stands. I see your point.
Right? Like, you're really having to, like, in 95% of the cases, none of those weaknesses will be relevant. It is actually, like, the one thing where you could have said last season, like, okay, now we are running into issues, is if you expose Fate in one of his picks and he needs a little bit more time to adapt to him. This doesn't matter anymore in a world where you just need one tank. And then one of the perennially, like, most elite players of all time is your backup, right? In Void. That, like, you're actively now nitpicking in order to have anything critical to say of this team. It is actually like just like building Exodia, and it's very challenging to at all talk about them. The problem is you are inevitably almost going to be wrong because there's always going to be some curveball thrown by by Lady Overwatch in how this season will go. But I mean, yeah, last season was just unreal dominance, and there's really not much else to say. Like this is one of those situations, by the way. Like for instance, like last year, the previous seasons, especially the ones after the Shock one, we are always like doing our power rankings, and then we're doing them on the end of the regular season, and you're putting Shock first, which you had an argument not doing so, right? Because like Shock actually never won a regular season. So you were like justified in not putting Shock first in either your power ranking season 3 or season 4. You're not in season 5. You're putting Shanghai there. There's no reason for you not to.
They were just so much better than everyone. I mean, if it wasn't for, I think in previous years, maybe you look at the teams and you feel like the winning team was, the gap between the winning team and the second place was not nearly as big as it has been in the previous year.
Yeah.
Now, the more I think about it, though, I mean, to be fair, all our grand finals have been pretty bad.
Yep.
Arguably, the Soul versus Shock one was not that bad, but the meta was pretty bad.
Yeah, but
it wasn't that bad because the scoreline was at least closer. It's not a 4-0, but
4-2 is the closest.
You never had a grand final where the runner-up wasn't even sad that they didn't win because they knew the outcome before they even started the match.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was good.
Hearing some we got ours.
Hearing some of the comms of Atlanta after the third map, and you can hear the players literally saying, "Like, yep, one more map, guys. And then you see here Brad in the background. I was like, what do you mean one more map? We're coming back, right? And the players like awkwardly laugh. I was like, yeah. They ordered me. It was a 4-0. Like, but even against let's hang hypothetically, okay, Dallas actually beat Atlanta and they go to the grand finals. How much better than Dallas was Shanghai? Because we're still talking about a world where Shanghai were just that much better than everybody else. I think that the end of year meta was significantly better for Shanghai than it was for Dallas. I mean, Dallas would need a lot more time to prepare for that kind of meta. So maybe the gap was still pretty huge. Yeah, I mean, even the Sombra, Doha was getting gapped. I mean, lip gaps everybody. But then Tracer, I mean, Fleta just is going to be better than Sparkle and Tracer. That's just how it is. So Shanghai coming in this year with incredible dominance still. Everyone else has leveled up, though. So we have to consider that Shanghai didn't level up because there's nothing to level up when your team is Shanghai. But because everyone else has leveled up, then surely the gap closes at least a little bit, right? Does it close a little bit?
Surely, yeah. I think there's going to be more question marks in the regular season. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they drop a few games, slow to adapt to a meta. But I think the consistency overall, you look at this team, you judge them in comparison to how consistent they've been throughout their tenure, throughout like how many question marks other teams have across an entire season of meta changes and new heroes being added. You have to really stretch, to Yiska's point, to like argue them out of first place. I agree, the gap is definitely close though.
All right. Everyone's happy with this team. Let's move on to first protocol, DPS. As I said previously, 2020 MVP, 2021 Grand Finals MVP. Who are you, the winningest player on bench the whole time? And yeah, I mean, he even won an Apex title on the bench, so there it is. He's got it all. He's got it all going for him. I can't remember if he even got a game. He might have gotten one game last year, maybe just one.
He got
can't remember it.
Yeah, I remember there was a map. I think that he
not
played.
that it matters. I mean, you're not judging him of one map, especially when Shanghai like to pick maps versus teams they know they're beating anyway to play their subs. So, I guess Yiska pointed out he had some reservations about what a double flex DPS meta would look like if you're forced to use Who Are You, and I mean, I would say that Who Are You's based on historical performance. Who Are You's on his best heroes. I mean, they're pretty good. I mean, you do want to see Who Are You on a Genji. He was the original Genji.
It's true.
Don't forget there was a point in time when he was the best Genji player in the world, widely considered.
You know, AVRL, there was a point in time where I compared Who Are You to Flash. I don't know, the real ones may remember that.
Oh,
but
StarCraft,
that was
StarCraft Brood War Flash?
That was a bit of a swing and a miss. But yes, original OG Genji for sure.
Yeah, and also, like, can you really say, like, Apex Season 2 as an argument without summoning the Spirit of Wolf? Like, it feels like it's barely relevant anymore, right? Like,
it's relevant to us, god damn it.
Yeah, still read them. I mean, there's contenders. Who Are You?
Yeah, smurfing in is.
He did one on Funi. He played Doomfist on Funi. I remember that.
Yeah.
There's that. I mean, that team was very good.
Yeah, and that time we thought Zachary was also like going to be good in Overwatch League.
Valorant still thinks so.
Yeah.
I mean, probably for good reason.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah. What honestly, like this DPS line is like we talked about it in the last episode, but like Lip is someone who probably could have like. Were they an MVP nominee last year? I would assume so.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. They were nominated.
Yeah, so they are definitely like on their specific heroes, probably like the best in the world at all of them. And then like you have Fleta, MVP. Who Are You is just there. If he can capture maybe like in a meta where it's like you need to play fucking Who Are You at this point, and like play either Doomfist or Genji, then like maybe Who Are You shows up a bit, but like this is gonna be Fleta Lip, DPS line, and I think the only like other two DPS lines that are close and that can beat them, I think the Seoul one definitely beats them as like a DPS line, and I think the Chengdu one is not far behind. So this is probably like the thing about ranking this team in terms of like their individual parts of the team is that I feel like it's just like as a unit they're just the best at it. And it's just like the individual rankings of like where their specific like roles are ranked doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, I would agree.
Do you guys ever get like the question mark if like some of those players might be overrated because of the system they play in? And if that was the case, which player would you expect this to apply to the most?
On Shanghai?
Yeah.
Yaki is a Yaki, I would say.
Here we go.
It's so hard, man.
I mean, I'm not happy about it, but like I think it's Izayaki.
If you had to pick,
I mean, Lee Jae-gon, I think is gonna be good wherever he is. I think.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Izayaki is the one where it's like, can Izayaki be that good on a different team? And
he wasn't that good on Valiant, right?
He wasn't.
Oh, he just kind of didn't play.
Didn't play. I mean, it's just like I don't know. I think that it's very difficult. I think both the DPS, both the DPS go, and they're probably really good wherever they are. So.
Yeah, I think the cop out is to say like, "Who are you?" But like, that's just not fair.
Yeah.
We're talking about players who are gonna play.
Yeah, I don't hate Izayaki. I don't like any answer really, to be honest.
What's the question again? Say the question one more time.
Like, considering like it's easy to overrate players based on their performance based on them playing the best team in the world, which player is the most likely that we overrate because they're playing for the Shanghai Dragons?
Well, fans will tell you it's Fate.
Yeah, that's fucking header. That's genuine dumbassery.
Reddit
I can't imagine watching last season and just like being like watching him grow from what he was doing on Hammond at the start of the season when they lost to Dallas to like the end where he was potentially the second best ball player in the world.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand.
Yeah. So it goes Yeedle, Fate, Ball Gaga.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
remember that we had that drama last year somehow. I could fucking.
Yeah.
What drama? I don't remember any drama. Was it drama?
You don't remember the? Force.
Huh?
Bless you. You don't want to know.
I don't keep up with drama.
Yeah.
I'm a very minimal drama kind
Was
of
it
guy.
last year or was it the year before?
I don't fucking know.
More of a sci-fi action. Not. That's why I don't like the Halo series. It's too dramatic. It's like I'm watching.
Is that the only reason?
I'm watching Days of Our Lives in Space. I don't care. Like, show me action. I don't care.
I want to see aliens die.
So, there's many other reasons, but we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
There is probably not a lot you can improve on the starting lineup.
No.
And even if you were to say individual, like, oh yeah, get Twilight instead of Izayaki or some shit like that. Like, even then, I value the Izayaki Lee Jae-gon duo in terms of their consistency and their level of synergy together.
I don't hate it.
I'm not saying that Lee Jae-gon can't build that with someone else, but they're so good together that I think there's an intangible value there that is like you can't just put another player in there and expect that the same output or better. So I don't think you can really improve on this roster in its current iteration. We'll see over the course of the season. We'll see if there's
it's tough.
We'll see if there's anything happens. But let's move over to I think we're all pretty clear. DPS line, it's all just good. I mean,
yeah,
I still think Lee is like a better player than Fleta.
Oh,
that doesn't mean I think Fleta's bad. I think last year I had to do a bit of fighting because I was like, oh man, like Fleta doesn't look that good anymore. Because compared to Leave, I mean, Leave was doing fucked up shit. Compared to Leave, everyone looks kind of bad.
Monster stuff.
That wasn't that surprising. I think Fleta's just not as exciting of a play. He's just a very consistently high output player that just does everything. But he's not as like a wow factor player, and that's mostly because his team is getting shit done.
Yes,
he doesn't need to put his team in a backpack. It's definitely more exciting watching Leave put his team in the backpack, as much as it's equal parts exciting, equal parts stressful.
Yep.
No, Fleta still got it. I have maybe a little bit of concern over how good Fleta's hit scans still are, because I did not think his Cassidy last year was good. He brought it out only a couple times and it wasn't great. Maybe he's a little bit unpolished on those. I know everyone's going to be but what about the Widowmaker from Melee, the headshot after headshot after, what about Fleta in the finals? I'm like, yeah, okay, but
He did that once.
Oh yeah, season 1 Flare Widows. I know it's there. I know it's there. It's just that like, I guess we didn't have much of a hit scan meta last year. Lip covers it now. I don't know where it is for Fleta. That's maybe a little bit of a bad faith argument because, you know, I just assume Smurf can just play everything, but I don't apply the same logic to Fleta. It's probably a little bit unfair, so I'll hold my reservations there. But
to your point though,
to be a hyperflex, I do think you need to be regularly swapping or regularly playing different stuff often to show that you can do it.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I would hold some similar arguments. It is a question mark, right? Like to hold that designation of being hyperflex takes a lot. And in a lot of those same arguments, I would agree. Like Fleta is not. I think he can be your carry player. I don't think he is that player for Shanghai. Nearly like 90% of the time. I think you're in a kind of a weird position if that is the case. I think there are some maps and some positions and some strategies that Fleta is that person. But again, 90% of the time, it's mostly lit. Fleta is playing that like secondary, solid, bulletproof, does it all, Swiss Army knife kind of, playstyle. I think I'm like sitting on the fence when it comes to who are you, just because we haven't seen him for so long in like a reasonable facet. However, if you are looking for somebody with like playmaking potential, God forbid we get into like some crazy Doom centric, Genji centric, just somebody who you can just. Yes, I know he's a tank. That being said, I'm just using that as an example, Yiska. Just this character that you could just dump resources in and just like let him run ahead. I think he could. It's gonna be hard, but I think he could probably start over Fleta for that reason, where like you need that Genji, you need that like, I don't know, maybe Echo, right? Somebody that's just gonna like lead the charge, be the
like
primary threat.
It's only Genji. I can't see who are you playing Farah or Echo
Definitely
over Fleta.
Yeah.
Doom's a tank now, so we can remove that out of the equation. Listen, if you are running who are you as your tank? Bro, no. It would have to be a full Doom meta where you never swap off Doom.
Yeah.
Because if at any point you are required to swap off Doom, who are you's fucked.
Yeah.
So no, we cannot go there at all. Which means, well, you literally exist to play the double flex meta.
Yep.
What is your purpose? I sprint better.
Cool. How about the tank line? You have Fate and Void. Unfortunately, one of them has to be benched, but it feels like you kind of win no matter what. I mean, they're
what
both
a terrible problem to have.
Yeah.
True.
You have the greatest of all time flex tank, and then you have Fate who picks up a hero like Ball in fucking 3 months and does the best at it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will attack what we've said about Dallas and try to compare it to Shanghai. And I don't think that's a fair argument, especially with how dynamic Fearless has been and how like pointed his hero pool is. I don't think that's the case with Fate. I don't think that's the case with Void. I can see no discernible difference or like draw any kind of concerns with what Fate showed us last year. Again, if you talk to me like Melee, I think Yiska and Kenobi can vouch for me just molding off the face of the earth because Fate couldn't find his fucking ult key and slam anybody.
Yeah.
Jump to the finals. I was incredibly impressed and just over the moon with the amount of progress that Fate had gone with his Wrecking Ball performance. It was fantastic. It was great. It was one of the big reasons why they beat Dallas. I think somewhere, I think it would have been like what? June Joust, I believe. That said, the comparison isn't the same. There's not a tank on this team that dictates a style, much like it does on Dallas.
Yeah.
These are two amazing players that, like, yes, you're sad that they can't both play, but like they don't dictate a style, ergo, it's not like a detriment.
Yes. Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, it's hard to how do you I could even honestly, like, part of me always thinks like, yeah, there's a world where Void plays 90% of the season, just because he is this skilled.
Sure.
But at the same time, like, I think you can just like let Fate sit on a hero, really grind into it, and him become like one of the best in a competitive role. So we'll see. I think that's probably like Void is always going to give you a reasonable performance on whatever hero you are putting him on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like he's never going to be a liability for you. So that's the back pocket for Shanghai, and like if they can then specialize Fate. But yeah, like honestly, like both Dallas and Shanghai are sort of like two teams that really make me miss main tank off tank.
Mm-hmm.
Because my God, what an embarrassment of riches now, right?
Yeah.
I could even see like that after this season, both of those teams or those lines find themselves in a position where they're like, you know what, like we're both too good to be on one team, bro.
Yeah.
Like we got to split up. I'm sorry, but like,
Can you imagine all those starters for other teams that Shanghai and Dallas are just kind of sitting on?
yeah,
It's kind of nuts.
I mean, I felt like they had a bit of a, even last year when they had developed, and develop would have been an exciting rookie talent
Oh yeah.
had he not been on Shanghai on the bench.
Yeah, but he
You
got
know,
that
for,
chip.
for another team, he would have been. For a team like Guangzhou Charge, they would have
Oof.
absolutely have loved him on that
Yep.
team instead of Kaylee. But
I almost feel like this is the justification for Moon to pick players like Hua Yu and Bebe, because you're not ruining these guys' careers at this point, right? Like you have serviceable
moral.
players in those positions that actually, you know, get to be developed. You're not developing talent on the Shanghai Dragons. You're fucking superstars everywhere, right?
Yep.
So maybe that's the Bebe rationale.
Come to Shanghai, get your free championship charity.
I mean,
by
that
Moon.
as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting to a point, or I guess that's not necessarily fair to say, but if this offseason goes slightly differently and that they don't sign Bebe, they try to like develop somebody else, let's say. I'm looking at Boston, I'm like, I don't know, Moon's kind of developing a whole lot of just market value, just sticking kids in like the back pocket, getting him a ring, and then just shipping them off to like Charge at like a premium, right? Like they're doing some sales for sure. These kids can't be cheap. Moon has an eye for talent. He always has. You look at his Valiant days, you look at his Team CC days. Yeah. He's got an eye. Say what you want about him. Say, you know, coaching of the coach of the year, this, that, the other thing. The track record's there. The track record is there.
Yes.
I mean, like Moon, this is just one of those Moon movies where, you know, like Chris Nolan, you get the regular actors back in, you know, Michael Caine's back in here, you got the Christian Bale and all that, and then you just, you know, you just get the one movie where, yeah, just get John David Washington and you know, but that's maybe not a good example because he was the main character, but my point is, it's just like, you know, this is that one movie where you get that one person coming in, but otherwise it's the same cast of people that Moon always works with.
Yes.
And can't see things changing unless Shanghai start doing poorly. So now we reach the support line. I mean, we still can't really find too many faults here across the board for anybody.
Even in like a double flex, it's like I'm not that upset about Bebe being in the starting lineup. Just not.
He might not even be.
No, they might not need it. 100%.
Lee Gon can just play half of the stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Lee John just plays half the stuff, and we've already talked about situations where, like, you know, Bap, Brig are basically flex support heroes now. Unless you're in like a full-on Ana Zen, I'm actually pretty sure we saw DJ on like an Ana or something last year. I'm pretty sure they actually did try out double flex or something.
He played Brig, no? Am I misremembering? Or was
He did play. Obviously, he played Brig. We know that. I don't even think
points.
I don't even think it's that likely to see Bebe in. I don't even think it's that likely.
Same.
Lee Jae-gon really is just so talented. I think he is the best support player in the world.
He's the
across
best
both roles.
Ooh.
He's just the best player in the best support player. Full stop.
Oh, you mean like okay? Oh, okay. I thought you meant he's the best main support and flex.
Just support player. just overall support player. If I was to combine the roles, I think he's just the most talented support player. Yeah.
I don't hate it.
I mean, the NA Andes will forever hold on to that one super clip. It's like, oh, Lee Jae-gon's feeding. They'll hold on to that until the end of time.
I mean,
But like,
the
aside
only,
from
the only,
that,
the
Well,
only
that's what it'd be.
arguments like Violet.
Violet, yeah, kind of dropped off playing DPS. Andy.
Yeah.
Who else is in that bucket?
I don't think there's really anyone.
Twilight?
Like, there's not anyone else.
Twilight is maybe in
Twilight,
there.
but Twilight.
I think Lee Jae-gon has joined the league. He joined the league in 2020 Shanghai and just has only found success the entire way through.
Yeah, you know what?
Never had
Apple's
a
right. It's
never had a bad never had a bad year. Has been top level literally since day one. Did he get Roll Star in his first season? He's been Roll Star 2 years in a row. FYI, rookie season Roll Star, championship season Roll Star. He's literally been he's only ever been a Roll Star since he joined the league.
Yep.
It's unbelievable talent.
Maybe Shu.
Quite good.
Maybe Shu's up there as well, but he's not better than Lee Jae-gon, but he should be in a conversation, right?
Even in contenders,
Yeah.
like Lee Jae-gon was a nut. And I'm
Yeah.
not talking about Runaway. I'm talking about pre-Runaway. People don't know this. I'll humble brag a little bit here, guys. Just hold on a second. But I casted Lee Jae-gon's first contenders tier 2 professional debut. So I don't count. I'm not going to count trials in this. We can shut the fuck about trials. We're not going to talk about trials or open division here. I'm going to only count contenders properly upwards. And he first debuted in Contenders Pacific. Was it
Monster
2019?
Shield?
I think it might have been 2019.
It was the one.
Yeah,
before
Monster
one,
Shield.
wasn't
I don't
it?
know, whichever one. He played. He was in Contenders Pacific. This was before. No, it would have been 20. It has to be 2018 because he played 2019 for Runaway. 2018.
Mhm.
He played Contenders. And even then, I was like, dude, this Lee Jae-gon guy is kind of good. It's kind of good. Like he wasn't like Overwatch League MVP level. Obviously back then he was new. He was very rookie, very green. But even day one of his like professional career in tier 2, I knew he was a standout, even on like a quote unquote bad team as a main support. Think about how hard that is to do.
Yeah.
Be a standout on a bad team on a main support as like a fresh rookie in tier 2 even, and you look good. That's hard to do.
Yep.
So I've had my eye on him for a while. Not surprised he got picked up for Runaway, dominated in Runaway, dominated in Shanghai. Here we are today. And just by the way, this is why I've got got my eyes on Chorong, because Chorong's a very similar player where like he caught my eye very early, even as a rookie main support, and that's like hard to do. And when I say rookie, I mean tier 2 rookie. That's hard, and that's only ever happened to me once before with Lee Jae-gon. That's why I'm like, this is the next Lee Jae-gon, because I've only ever seen 2 main support players that have had that kind of left that kind of impression on me early on. But yeah, that's my Lee Jae-gon discussion. Just a bunch of praise. There's not much here. I mean, it's Lee Jae-gon, he's the Erkey.
Yep.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
Quite good.
Very good.
All right. Time to just rank. I'm putting them. I'm gonna just be. I might as well just put them like conservatively top 20 in the world. Like I don't know how well they're gonna do.
Damn.
Dude,
Sold.
that's a take.
That's a brave take.
I don't know how they're gonna do.
How could you say something so controversial yet so brave, Avril?
Okay, let's actually turn it around, because otherwise this is boring. Does anyone have an argument not putting them first?
No.
No. They're 1-1.
Play devil's advocate. Let's try playing devil's advocate for a little bit.
Oh, fuck.
Okay,
me.
here's the
This
devil's
is
advocate.
still so hard.
NetEase goes bankrupt tomorrow and sells the team. That's devil's advocate.
Fuck.
I think.
Okay, first off, NA fanboys, your team is not getting close to this team. By the way, there's no shot. It's gonna be either like Chengdu or it's gonna be what was this Shanghai? Not Shanghai. Seoul. Chengdu Seoul.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe Dallas. Maybe Dallas potentially, but no. It's gonna be APAC all the way.
Let me be clear about something. NetEase is currently very stable. The highest peak they've had in the last 5 years was in February 2021, which is actually that's exactly the same time that Huya had their before Huya started taking a nosedive, was around Feb 2021. That was also the peak of NetEase. They dipped pretty hard after that by about 25%, but they've remained stable there for a while. They dipped down to about 120 Hong Kong dollars in 2021 August, but are now sitting at about 150, which is 50 below their peak in Feb. That peak in Feb seems to be more of an outstanding kind of peak and not a normal kind of thing. But yeah, they've been very solid standard, not fluctuating too much. Netties looking like they're doing pretty good, so I wouldn't be concerned for Netties. And I also think they have a lot of capital spread out across the board. Like I said, they're like one of the key distributors in China for games next to Perfect World. I know gaming in China is in a bit of a weird place right now, but even if you take away the gaming part of NetEase, they still got a lot going on for them. So NetEase isn't imploding anytime soon, which means Shanghai should be okay in that regard.
Isn't it fucking wild and 2020 as fuck that we now, or 2022 as fuck, that we now have to like be stockbrokers in order to do our power rankings?
Dude, you gotta follow the markets, dude. GME. Were you not hip for that? Come on.
No.
You aren't following the stock market when you're doing power rankings? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Like, even trying to conceive of a meta that I'm just like trying to paint Shanghai in a corner.
I got one for you. It would require Void to get sick, and Fate has to play some hero that he just can't.
Sure.
That's what would happen.
And then in like 2 months he'll be better at it than Void, and then we'll.
It's so hard, man. It's so hard. It's like,
I don't think
even if Sombra's like not good as just a character, like the rework just doesn't land. Like, who cares? You can play Cassidy, you can play Tracer. Like, sick. Like, fuck. Like, put him on Soldier. I think he's probably cracked. Like,
okay,
Fleta can do everything. It's fine.
You ready?
What do you do? Paint me. Yeah.
Here.
I'm ready.
I'm not sure they would be top in the Genji meta.
See, that I genuinely think they could be.
No. Here's the problem, Yiska. The Genji meta is not just one hero.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about the Genji.
Yes, true. But like, let's say the Genji is like the important breaker. Like you have a lot of situations where it is about
like the
nano blade efficacy.
Yes.
I'm not sure, bro. Like, I'm not betting against Sparkle, my friends. That's not a thing I do on Genji.
In Genji.
What about everybody else? What about everybody else? You know, you still got players across the board. I still think Shanghai's support line beats everybody else's.
Sure.
I still think, maybe Hanbin Void conversation is a very interesting one, so I'll leave that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But Sparkle plus one of Guryo, Edison, or Doha versus either Huayu or Fleta on the Genji plus either Lip or Fleta on the other thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like the other pieces. Whoever's playing the other DPS next to the Genji in Shanghai is just better than that person on Dallas. Is what I'm saying.
The fact that we have to go this deep, it means that it's like.
It means, Kenobi, that we're going to be wrapping up the Shanghai preview by saying we all agree that they're just unanimously the number one team. Yeah. Congratulations on Shanghai for winning another season of Overwatch League. Congratulations for Who Are You for winning his second title on the bench.
True.
And for Bebe for becoming an Overwatch League champion. You guys are the best. Bebe. Alrighty. Thank you for tuning into the TCP 2022 Shanghai Dragons preview. Let's move on to our next team. It's a Joe team. Joe loves him.
No, I hate this team. Oh, Toronto. You thought you had it bad.
Oh no, not them. No, can we wait for them?
Anything but them.
Later?
You guys are mean. You guys are mean people.
I can't with this fucking team, dude. I cannot with this team, man. I have. There's just no way. You can't ask me to commit hopium to this team.
Yeah.
I refuse. After what happened last season, this team on paper, God damn it. Go ahead.
So anyway, welcome to the 2022 TCP Hangzhou Spark Team preview. We have a mega large roster, as is standard for the Hangzhou Spark.
True.
One of two teams in the league that has 3 tanks in their roster. At least the Spark have the defense of saying, "Oh well, we just imported our 3 tanks from the previous rosters." You know, Boston are like, "Yeah, let's just get 3." So I'll give Spark at least that. They can have that. Spark. Wow. Spark. What do we do with these
Spark.
guys? What do we do with
What?
Spark? To be fair, some interesting pickups. Why don't we'll go through this roster. Shy Architect, Pineapple Alpha Yi, Fushui Liga Burner, Super Rich and Irony. So the only position that they haven't got extra players on is the supports for some reason. I
Right.
find that quite interesting.
That is
They got
awesome.
they have 3 tanks, 2 backups for their tanks, no backups for the supports. Really interesting. Now,
They got architect.
DPS is probably the most exciting part about this roster. I think most people would say. Pineapple
they have
Alpha
Shy
Yi being
too.
brought up
Shy
from Bilibili.
is another.
Mm.
Let's get into Shy. I was talking about the rookies first, but Pineapple Alpha Yi, very, very cool pickups. Alpha Yi in particular should be a really good pickup next to Shy, who last year I think was a legitimate Rookie of the Year contender
Mm-hmm.
up until Spark took a nosedive. So here's Spark. Here's Spark's stocks as we go through the season is first few games, Pagion doesn't play Shy, big sad, Spark don't do well, and then Pagion's gone, Hangzhou Spark do play Shy, boom, they start winning,
Do
they start
well.
looking good,
Wow.
Shy looks amazing, he looks fucking phenomenal, one of the best hit
Called it,
scan
by the
talents that we
way.
had.
Mm.
And then we unfortunately no longer have a hit scan meta, and Shy has to play non-hit scan heroes, and suddenly Spark look like they're not as good. And I don't know, they never come back to form after that. Spark after that, I think June Joust was
Their
the
4-0
peak of
stage.
Spark, and then they did not qualify into Hawaii because they lost to who again? They lost
I don't
to.
even remember.
They lose.
Oh, did they lose to Charge? Didn't they lose like in a 3-2 to Charge?
No, I'm talking about June Joust. They lost.
Oh,
to
they
New
lost to
York.
New York. Yeah.
They got
That was the New York
fucking
game. They started playing
upset by
Orisa and
New York.
shit.
Oh yeah, that was
Because you ready for this? New York finished June Joust 2-2. Hangzhou finished 4-0 with a record, a map record of 12-2. They only lost 2 maps
God.
out of. They only lost 2 maps.
Yep.
Plus 10. They were the most dominant. They were more dominant than Shanghai in the June Joust. For fuck's sake, in case they 3-0 Shanghai. If you want to see Shanghai lose, go back to week 6 June Joust. Hangzhou Spark 3-0 them. And before anybody says this was before the whole like, oh, Shanghai's sandbag. You can't even use that excuse. You can't even use that excuse.
Nope.
Because Shanghai was still invested. Shanghai were old. This was the stage that Shanghai won. They won June Joust after beating Dallas Fuel in the finals. Shanghai were invested. They were invested as fuck in qualifying and winning the whole thing. Clearly, there was 0 sandbagging happening. So explain how they lost to the Spark. They just straight up lost. They got 3-0'd by the Spark. So Spark were on. They were dominant. They were on a big high here. They were super good. And then they got upset by New York, who barely scraped in.
Yep.
Off a tiebreaker, by the way. They had a tiebreaker versus Philly, and Philly lost that tiebreaker because they lost that Numbani map to the Valiant. So I do remember that was really funny. So New York only barely made it into the qualifier because Philly fucking fumbled versus Valiant. And then New York upsets the Spark to go to the Hawaii stage to lose. Holy shit. And after this, Spark never recovered.
Nope. I mean, it's hard to, after being so good.
So good. I mean,
I have credit to New York. I will give them that. Like, they genuinely pulled kind of a rabbit out of a hat. If I remember correctly, they were doing some kind of cool Cassidy, Orisa stuff that was kind of a little awkward outside of like Philly that season, I think, in general. But that, yeah, like New York also didn't do anything past that point. Spark just, like AVRL said, never recovered. And that just only adds to the laundry list of, qualms and complaints I have about this team. As good as they always seem to look on paper outside of their debut as a franchise, just an embarrassment of riches, like minus the riches. It just kind of feels bad. It's just a sad team.
They do have the riches. It's been poorly spent.
Yeah.
They invested in some meme coin and not in.
Yeah, but these are
know.
also these are the motherfuckers who bought Bitcoin in like 2008 when they're like they get like the fucking good stuff and then they just don't use it correctly. Like, I mean, if again on paper, like this team, like we want to talk about Shanghai Killers. This team is, if you play this team at max rank, at every position, this team probably can contest with Shanghai. Like,
I mean, they literally
that's-
beat Shanghai last year.
yeah, I mean,
So
I
they've
think they're
actually done it. They've actually done it.
yeah. So I think
So,
that like
not even a theory.
every single position is a fucking superstar on this team. It's unreal how good they are, and unreal how sad it's gonna be when they end up facing 5th in APAC.
Come
Because
on,
that's just how we are with this team.
Irony is not a superstar, right?
Okay, I think he's very good. I mean, maybe not a superstar. So,
Right.
sorry, there's one player out of the.
Yeah. I mean,
The menagerie.
I think there's way more than that, but I'm sure of Irony not being one.
I literally think everyone else is incredible, like in their role. I think genuinely in APAC, at least for sure, they're top 3.
Yeah, the problem is like we haven't seen some of these guys either play in a while or like I have some questions about Liga and Super Rich at this point. Like I think you almost have to, right?
Why?
Because like there has to be reasons why these guys aren't seeing either not seeing Overwatch League playtime or like weren't picked up, right? Is that just like Pagion?
I mean, the legal thing, the Liga thing was a mental thing. I think personal for him. I believe is what I'm 99% sure they came out and said that.
Okay.
And he did play in contenders, so he has been like playing. Obviously, he wasn't an owl, but like he has been playing.
Yeah.
Super Rich, I don't know why he wasn't taken to owl along with the rest of the Team CC members. Again, we do have to remember that Chinese.
He got illusioned.
Yeah, he got illusioned, and also Chinese. I mean, also the buyout for Super Rich was probably relatively high at that point, coming off of the win at Gauntlet. And also, there's not a lot of spots. Like there are 4 spots that you get in contender or as like a Chinese player. He wasn't going to Shanghai because Lee Jae-gon is there.
Sure.
I don't know if Guangzhou could have afforded him. Billy had people. I forget who they had IDK, so not going there.
And Mika.
Yep.
Well, sure they had Mika. I mean, definitely did have him.
If the buyout was too high, then yeah, that's unfortunate for him. But like, other people were picked ahead of him, right? If it's
I'm gonna be honest with you. This is Super Rich is probably besides Yveltal, I think Super Rich is the best main support that China's ever produced. And I actually think he might like on a given day, I think Super Rich can play better than Yveltal can. I think Super Rich.
Hybe's crying right now. You just hurting some feelings. Okay. Are we just talking about support line? Let's talk about the support line for the Hangzhou Spark. We've already started. Any further thoughts here? I mean, I think Hangzhou last year. I'm going to defend one thing here. People say what you will about the controversy, but MCD was a really good player for the Spark last year. There were 3 players that really played well in the Spark last year, and that was Shy, Gushue, and MCD.
Yeah.
And so the whole MCD situation when he didn't play anymore kind of fucked the team as well. I think Mika Recoldas kind of just got thrown into a failing team that was doomed to fail. They were kind of just, you can't really do much here. These 2 guys aren't going to turn around this team, sadly, especially when they're, we're out of it. We're definitely out of a hit scan meta by the time you get to the Summer Showdown. Shy is not just fragging on hit scans anymore because it's not as viable. He's good on the other heroes, but he's not like unbelievable. He's not like 1v9 kind of 1v11 kind of unbelievable like he was on the Cassidy earlier, hitting some of the wildest shots I've ever seen. So and I think part of Hangzhou's weakness last year was this kind of like either Shy carries you or you lose kind of situation on the team. They were kind of helped out by the double bubble meta early. So there's a couple things that really helped out Spark early on, why they were successful. 1, Shy playing on hit scans when hit scans were still good. 2, double bubble meta with Gushui on Winston. You're playing a couple dudes on their best heroes, and Gushui on Winston, it's exactly what you want to see. Supported by Nano, supported by Bubbles, he's going to get a lot done. So that's why Spark was succeeding. But something tells me beyond that, the team play couldn't get them. So the individual hero pools beyond that meta couldn't get them across the line. And the team play was never really there, I think, in the first place, outside of like, we're going to depend on Goucher's mechanics to get us across the line, going to depend on Shai's mechanics to get us across the line. Everything else, bit of a mixed bag. And they looked like they got exposed pretty hard once Goucher and Shai couldn't play their best heroes anymore. Because now we're in a ball meta, and Goucher's ball is just worse than the other good teams, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Shai is on Tracer, and it's acceptable, but you're going up against guys like Lee, but it's just not even close. It's not close.
Yeah.
So what do you do? And we I don't know if I want to bring up the coaching staff, but it's like people, I think the fans like to bring it up. But I mean, what I'll say about the coaching stuff was in flux because of all the people coming and going. It was a whole mixed bag of revolving door of staff members, kind of like the charge.
Mm-hmm.
So the support line now, I think Irony had a great year in contenders. Billy looked really good. Super Rich has been ready for a long time. He's been waiting for this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And the combination of them, pretty good. I mean, I can't see any real problems with it. I don't know if there's going to be a language problem, but the fact that there's only 2 of them maybe is concerning. They don't have a second flex support. I don't know. That's probably the biggest hole for me.
Yeah, just on paper, I think it's a fine support lineup. I think Super Rich is a I would echo some similar sentiments that Kenobi and AVRL already have put out there. Good playmaking, Lucio, solid. Outside of that, Irony, heard good things, seen good things. Seems all right. I think it's maybe a minor step down when compared to MCD personally, but gotta do what you gotta do. I think it's fine.
Cool. I think the rest of you already had some. Did you have any additional thoughts to Yiska? Otherwise, we're
just
going
like
to...
I would have like if you're splooching resources, why not just pick up a 3rd support, man? Like you don't need 3 tanks.
Because Architect is going to play some Ana this year.
I mean,
that's why.
Sure.
Not
impossible.
You hate it
either.
because it's true.
Yes.
Yeah. Tanks. You got fucking 3 of them.
Yeah. You do.
Liga. Now I know why Liga didn't get traded to the Hunters because Huya has no money. So Liga is still on Spark. Didn't get to play last year.
Mm-hmm.
Probably should have played over Bernard. Didn't end up happening. Bernard's still here. Gusha is still here. Only one of them can play. Look, I'll give one thing to Spark. They got the flexibility in the tank line, but even then, I don't know. Like, even if you pick the best individual out of these 3, do we trust them enough?
Gusha would be the one person I would trust to probably play a lot more than the other 2. Like the like if we have to like pick someone to do all of the tanks.
Yeah.
And I'm not happy about it because I think that there will probably be a big learning curve for Gusha, who, like, let's be fair, has like when it's been other things that haven't been the Winston, it hasn't looked great. The ball didn't look great. The Orisa didn't look great. It was, the Winston was potentially like always the best in the world, had that like capability, but like in like Reinhardt wasn't that good. So it's been like he's been a Winston.
Guy's a regular XQC.
Yeah, basically, he's in the jungle, but like. I think if you were to put like everyone on here at like their peak and you could just like pick and choose, like, okay, let's say this is a map where like we need Diva and Sigma. Okay, then you just put in Liga. If this is a map where we need this hero or like X hero, and the fact that they're gonna be hyper specialized, so it is really gonna come down to the management of like when they're gonna put in certain players, because I don't think that they have the chops throughout the tank line to cover everything in one player.
Yep. And I think that's exactly what they're going to try to do. And it's going
to suck.
The exact same as it's always been. However, on paper, they cover the bases, right? I think I would trust Gusha out of all like the old guard main tanks to maybe have the mechanics to maybe perform on some of these playmaking flex tanks. I could see that. I think that's interesting. That said, we haven't seen it, right? I can't judge something I haven't seen. Can I maybe give a nod of good faith? Sure, but you have to also give a nod of good faith to somebody like Smurf, right? That said, You have somebody like Liga to fill in the blank. You have somebody like Bernard to fill in the blank. My problem ends up being when Spark are like too smart or they try a little too hard, let's say, for their own good, right? Like I think they're going to end up playing some like highbrow, crazy fucking 900 IQ Overwatch, and it's gonna look like it always has. Just the tanks are fine.
Just fine. Just
They're
kind of
fine.
maybe
I mean,
middle. Of,
like, dude, if I don't know, it's really frustrating that these players are all so good individually on like the specific heroes, and you can't. I think that we're kind of coming to the point where, like we were talking about earlier, and like Avril said, we're gotta to be good at everything. And how are 3 players going to be the best at everything?
Yeah.
I think that, once again, I should feel better about a tank line that has 3 people.
Yep.
But I don't. I trust Goucher to have like solid main tanks covered. I think both his Ryan and Winston definitely like up there. But beyond that, man, like I just don't know what to expect. Like, I think, okay, I'm getting on my burnout account. I'm shitposting. The kid is actually questionable in a top tier team. And I don't think we should be seeing him a lot.
I think he's a diva player.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
If he shows it all, he's.
I thought Zarya was maybe his best hero.
I would say Zarya.
But Liga's on the team.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I just, it's gonna be such a rotating house of Spark tanks, and it's just.
Is this a case? Is this a case of these 3 are good players that will be mismanaged, or is it a case of they're actually not that great? So the whole management thing maybe doesn't even factor in here. Because the storyline of the Spark has been like, oh, this is a Shanghai killer team, like Kenobi is saying, that could, like, you know, on paper be good, but they've been mismanaged. But the more we're digging in, the more it feels like we're not that pleased with the 3 tanks. We're actually not that happy with where we are.
Yeah.
At least in this position.
I mean, I don't know why Bernard's on this team still. Like I think it would make way more sense to flip that for, like Yiska said, another flex support. I think because I think Liga like should be able to. Liga's diva is the worst out of his flex support or flex tanks, but it's not bad, and it's like I think he can be serviceable on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like, and like his Sigma's like very very, his Zarya is like pretty good as well. So like I don't understand why Bernard would see playtime unless they are really just like we need to keep him away from other teams, or like I don't know, he's on contract, whatever. I just don't. Like, I would be much more happier with this if I was like, okay, Liga and Gusha, I think you can make something happen there between the 2 of them where, like, you can potentially rotate and it actually, like, isn't terrible. Rotating between 3 players in, like, a singular tank, like, game is gonna suck. It's gonna suck.
Well, one of them is probably going to be a starter, the other one a bench, and the third one just won't exist. I don't think you can rotate 3 players. You can rotate 2, maybe, but you can't rotate 3 tanks for 1 role, in my opinion.
I
agree
with
watch
you.
the Spark do it. Watch them do it.
I don't put it past.
I'll fucking do it again.
Yeah. I'll kill them again. Like there's gonna come a point where we've seen all 3 of these tanks start because this team is managed that way.
No. There's no way.
There's
no way. Legal will choose not to play.
Dog. They didn't start Shy last season. Like,
yeah, but that was Padjon and he's gone now, so we don't have that excuse anymore.
I mean,
no, we don't. And as much as I respect Chengun, I respect Miro, I think there is this line of reasoning where it's just like we are trying to play the best Overwatch possible, and if we follow that line of reasoning, X tank is the best at the hero that we need him to do on this map, and X, Y tank is the best hero at this map, and we just have this rotating door. It could just be 2 of them that just swap in and out ad nauseum. I feel where you're coming from, Avril, and I hope to God it's not all 3. But to answer your question, I think it's a little bit of column A, column B. I think it is a little bit of mismanagement, and yeah, as we look at it, I don't know that the tanks are like all there at the caliber that they need to be.
All right, so what about this then? Let's move on to the DPS line. Do we agree that this is probably the best part about the
Easily.
team?
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, this
100%.
DPS line is fucking gross. I mean, like, first off, Shy is just. I don't think we need to pontificate a little bit
Yep.
more on Shy. Like the guy, the kid's cracked and has been cracked for a long time, and people should have been able to figure that out a little bit earlier. But thanks to Pagion, they didn't. So unfortunately, we had to wait. But
Sure.
like coming from contenders, I think Pineapple was like when I first saw Pineapple play on T1W, I was actually watching with Joe, and I told Joe, I said this is probably the next best DPS or hit scan DPS that's going to come out of China.
Yep.
I still think he was, because this was a time a little bit before Dia was like coming back in and like reintegrating with Team C. So I think that Pineapple's a great pickup to like kind of fill the hole. I think Alpha E is absolutely fucking disgusting on any projectile player that projectile DPS that he plays. His Echo is like, I saw Alpha E do the things that, like, when we talk about Echo players like 1v9ing, like AVRL was talking about, Alpha E did that like consistently in Contender. He just gets the ball and he will roll through enemy teams with like no problem. I hate his duplicates because they really suck sometimes, but hey, if it works out, it works out. And he managed to do it consistently at Billy. And then Architect, I think he's like the one that I think at this point is like probably the odd man out of the rotation. I don't see a world where they would play Architect over other three consistently. But this DPS line, if like everyone's peak DPS, it is a lot. I think 4 is a lot of DPS, potentially 1 too many. But like this DPS line is fucking sick, and I think is like I think easily top 3 in APAC.
Easily?
Oh, not easily actually.
That would put them.
Would I put them? I don't know if I. No, maybe not top 3.
You'd have to battle them fourth.
You'd have to. Top 3 means you think they're better than one of Shanghai, Seoul, or Chengdu. You say top 3?
No. Alright, I'll say top 4. Top 3 is a bit too much. I mean, I don't know. I think if they played like if Alpha E and like I think Shy are playing at their peak, I think they could potentially be there, but I also have to account for, you know, Architect and Pineapple. Pineapple is very good. I just think he's not gonna
what?
He's not gonna be. I don't think he can beat a lot of the top 2 hit scans. So
speaking of which, man doesn't know about the M3 Zest combo. And neither do the fans.
Yeah, that's
okay. Yeah, I do think this is a very strong DPS line. I'm always a little bit uneasy seeing 4-man DPS lines because I feel like one player almost always exclusively ends up just being left out and not really ever getting game time.
Yeah.
Meta can screw you pretty hard here from a player. I mean, it's good for the team because the team has a lot of flexibility, but as a player, it really sucks being a 4th DPS on a 4 DPS line. But I value the fact they've gone for double flex DPS, double hit scans. I mean, it's good. It's solid. It's really solid. Pineapple Alpha E did great in Billy. I watched those games. I was very impressed with Alpha E. I felt like this guy was so good, and his trace was great as well. That was really important to me. So Alpha E was actually played in tier 2 and outside of Overwatch League for the longest time. He's been around for a while. I mean, guy is
boy.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on Meta Athena, GC Busan Wave, the original one. Not the original GC Busan, but the GC Busan Wave squad. So not GC Busan Team Diamond is what I'm saying. He has been he's been around for a while, and I think it's good to finally see him make it because I felt like he's been good enough for a while. I mean, he was definitely good enough off his performance from last year. So excited. I think Shy Alpha E would be my provisional starting DPS lineup.
Yep.
I'd agree.
With Architect Pineapple on the bench. Architect actually before the, and I joked about the Architect Anna, but
it's out there.
You never know. You know, when you don't have a second flex DPS, and Architect has shown to play that role, it's like
Shy's got one too.
He'll do it. Shy on that will be wasted though. You're wasting Shy on that. No, If you put Shy on that, you're not playing Shy on DPS, which is you can't have that.
That might as
So-
well be a crime against humanity. I agree.
Dude, don't come on, that X6 come on.
Oh, that whole trial run, that was so tragic. Yeah, I really like this DPS, quadruplet. I think it is good. It is the shining light. If the Spark genuinely do well, it's gonna look exactly like it did last year. Alfie, granted, they have an extra person to play make with, right? It's not just Shy. It's not just him and Gusha anymore, like trying to like lift the team. They have people like Pineapple. They have people like Alfie, Architect. I do have my reservations with at this point. I think he has a mate. I genuinely think he has a role, but it's like it feels like a stretch. That said, they do have. It's going to be a weird team to watch because I think they can like muscle through some team fights. If I'm going to be honest, like if we're agreeable to the idea that they have more playmakers now, I think that probably changes their style a bit, which is probably a step in the right direction from how kind of passive they could have been last year. But it also makes them very scrappy and a little messy if I'm going to like kind of pontificate a little bit on what they could look like, which I don't think helps like their narrative of just being like this like mechanic first, brain later team. Like they'd never, like even in their like debut season as a franchise, that was like their highest like season finish, like in GOATs, which is still crazy to me. Not the most cohesive team. And I don't think that this team really changes all that much. This like roster.
I feel like I have to give the same energy to this team that I gave to Toronto. But maybe more so that it's not like they didn't complete their roster. I think there's a mild misallocation in terms of the support situation. I think you should scrap a tank, and I think you went for quality talent. I don't hate it as much here, but like in previous seasons, like except season 2, which you have to give to them. But like, man, this team had it, and then fumbled a great rosters and arguably careers. Bro, when Architect hit the ground there, he was like a top 4, top 3 projectile DPS, right?
Yeah,
with incredible depth, like being able to pick up the
Surprising
Widowmaker.
depth.
Yeah, like being able to pick up Anna and shit. Like his career went to fucking smithereens there. That's what the Spark has done over the last 2 years, wasted careers. And like if people like Shy are able to like shine beyond that, that's only a testament to the quality of their quality, not to the quality of how this organization is run. So like I can't sit in good faith here, like say, yeah, okay, you've assembled a roster that's looking incredible, honestly, but like then not acknowledge that fact that was also true in previous years and they were fucking atrocious. But to borrow from Joe's vernacular in comparative to expectation, right?
Yeah, isn't that nice? Yeah, it's a good word.
Like this is,
you can say it.
They were as bad, or like they were, in my mind, they were worse and more underperforming last year than the Justice.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would call them woeful.
Oh,
yeah, they were bad.
You gave him the W?
They were full of woe.
Yeah. So, I mean, come on, man. Like, that DPS line doesn't deserve a bottom.
No, it doesn't.
No,
this team doesn't deserve, like, they should be competitive.
That's why it's going to be sad.
And it's going to be depressing when, and again, like, I like Philly, right? Like, I hear, I'm I've got my pamphlet to the church of that DPS lineup. I'm here. I'm ready to, take a personality quiz, Scientology, this, that, the other thing. I get it. Spark should be able to compete with them as a team. Just on paper, as a team, they should be able to compete with Philly. They should be able to compete with Charge. I don't know what this team does, and it's going to be disappointing when they end a stage like middling to like bad.
Joe, I'd go further. They should beat Charge and Philly.
Yeah,
there shouldn't be
should.
No, they should.
about them
Yes.
beating Philly and Charge. And it's going to be, again, Joe said, really depressing when we get to when we get to like the mid-season and they're just not doing anything, they're
there?
the most uninteresting team. They've maybe like surprised one of the top 3 once, but they're losing to fucking Valiant.
Yep.
It's gonna happen.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
but by spending,
So-
they should be competing with Shanghai. Let's be
Oh, yeah.
100%
Yeah.
honest about this,
Yep.
right?
So, final verdict. Where are you putting them? Where do they belong? How are they going to do?
It's,
I have them. I believe I have them. I have them 4th. I think currently.
Okay.
Behind the top 3. And the fluctuation of where that is like they could either literally be 2nd and be fighting and going 5 maps with Shanghai if they play correctly and if they don't mismanage this roster, or they're last. I think that there is so much variance for this team to fucking either be super good or super duper horrendously bad.
Yeah, they're a punchy team. They certainly have the lovely designation of being that on-paper team to end all on-paper teams. I personally have them above the charge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have them 5th in APAC, and in the world as it stands currently, they are below the Justice at 13.
I can't see this team being last in APAC. I can't do it.
I can't see
I think
it.
No, I mean they shouldn't. They realistically shouldn't.
I
with
can't-
this
I mean-
quality roster, I feel like just on skill level alone,
yeah.
on roster
Mhm.
quality, they can't because they should just be able to outskill players even on their
Yeah.
worst day.
Hopefully.
So for me, 3 to 6 range, somewhere in there, because which is pretty wide range for APAC.
Mhm.
I think they could be as good. I think they're good enough to take out somebody in the top 3 in sniper position.
Mm-hmm.
Probably still too far off, even on skill level. Even if Spark are at their peak, probably still not good enough for Shanghai Soul just yet.
Yep.
But I could see the Spark sniping 3rd if all planets align, all stars align for them. Because they have the roster quality to do so. You know, you get a hit scan meta. Shy goes into all of his good stuff. You know, one of your 3 tanks finds a good meta to play in, like surely. Yeah, I can see them doing. I feel like I can see this team doing quite well, but it's just hard to trust them. You know.
Yep.
Yiska,
I think
final.
the thing is, like, I want to, like, I'm hurt by this team, man. Like, I want to say some shit, like they can be or like they're most likely to be second to last, but I'm honestly probably bullshitting saying that. Like, just like I'm looking at the quality of these players, and I'm like, okay, like even in the worst case scenario, right? Like the way I see Overwatch 2 playing out, like unless you're literally just like waking up having to run an obstacle course in order to like get to do your job, from metaphorically from an organizational level, like you should just by skill outskill both Charge and Valiant at the very least, right? And then maybe also true for Fusion. I think their most likely case is therefore to be 2 out of these. So my situation would probably be likely 5th, but I absolutely believe like the 3 to 6 range, 4 to 6, that feels like solid or that seems reasonable for them at this point.
Yep. Agreed. The one hopium, the one thing I can say that could be interesting about this team, if they are this like big playmaker, we just play our style, everybody's running around, like there is no cohesion, everybody's just looking for plays, and it's just a scrap fest. I think there is a team, I don't know who, maybe it's Soul, that just kind of like has a hard time keeping tempo, or just like trying to find like the game flow, because there just isn't one. But that like requires a lot of things to go right. That's like the best I can say about this team.
So a team that really needs to get their shit together to get something going, but probably
Please,
has
God.
higher hopes than a few other teams in the APAC region, namely their Joe brothers in Guangzhou, and also Valiant on the other side as well. Those are two teams that they should be better than. A team that is currently probably sitting in the middle of the table, APAC, but can likely reach a little bit higher than that, but can also completely shit the bed and go further down. We'll have to pay close attention to what the Hangzhou Spark are going to be doing this year, because some exciting new prospects backed by legendary players like Gushui and Shai.
Mm.
Surely they'll be able to get something together. We'll have to pay attention to the season. That's going to be our Hangzhou Spark 2022 team preview done and dusted. Let's move on to the next team. And it is going to be Wings Out, baby.
Jesus.
Everyone's favorite. The Los Angeles Valiant.
Oh,
This
okay.
should
Wow.
be interesting.
Definitely
I can't
playing
wait
out of
for
LA.
this one.
Yes, they are.
So, if you don't know anything about the Valiant, or rather, if you knew, okay, there's a couple of different things here. One, if you've only known about Valiant from the time they played in NA, I don't even know where to get started for you.
True.
It's just I don't know. Go through Wikipedia. I don't have time to catch you up. That's too long ago. Shit went down last year. They went to China. It didn't go well. This year, however, they're still in China. But Immortals have somehow expanded the budget for the team. They have one of the most decorated coaches in Tier 2 on the team now, in No Hill, snubbed by the rest of China for reasons I won't get into. There's a bit of controversy there between him and other Chinese teams in terms of drama. But he's on a team. I mean, but Immortals are like, we don't have a problem with that. Come on in. And he's assembling the squad. He's trying to assemble a squad. He's at least got Dia. There's
True.
a couple of the CC returning members. That dream team from 2020 Gauntlet that won the Gauntlet, that beat all the Korean teams, that had one of the most historical international runs we've seen in Tier 2 Overwatch and just in Overwatch in general. No Hill leading the way with that team, bringing Dia back in. Innovations coming in. Dia's coming out of retirement for this, by the way, because he didn't play at all last year. Innovations have been brought in as well. They picked up Becky. They're rumored to be picking up a fourth DPS. Who was it again?
I don't even know at this point.
It was Kaylee, but he got dropped.
Yeah.
It was
Was there
Erkey at
another?
one- wasn't it?
It was Exy at one point, then it was Kaylee
Yep.
at one point, and now I don't know who it is. But I think they're very interested in getting a fourth DPS player. I don't know who it is anymore. They at one point had Wu Kiao rumored as one of the tank players who's going to be coaching as the assistant coach and a tank player at the same time. Since then, that room has been adjusted and updated to be Wu Kiao only coaching, and now Sashin is the current rumored tank for the team. And then on the support line, you have Coldus, who kind of got wasted on the Spark. And you just talked about the Spark, and Coldus didn't get too much of a shot when he finally got to come in. He came into a pretty poor situation, wasn't going to be do a lot there. And alongside him is Lengsa from Team Chaser and formerly of the Chengdu Hunters. So Lengsa, I think, is quite an exciting player coming in for the LA Valiant. So overall, it's a much better team than last year. Not that last year's roster really set any bars that were difficult to beat. But the real question will be now, can they be competitive enough to break out of last place and at a minimum beat some teams? I mean, Yiska definitely thinks they can break out of last place. I think they could as well. But this team is still right now, looking at their roster, probably still going to be struggling a little bit despite the major upgrades.
Yeah.
I think they fight with charge for that last place. If I had to and I think this is a team that will, I think, just win games, which is something we couldn't say for them last season. I think the players that they have they're good players. I mean, Dia should have been in Overwatch League last season, but his only chance was the Valiant, and there's no reason to get 2-0 40 seasons under your belt, winless seasons rather.
Yeah.
I am very upset with how Coldest has been extremely wasted on the Spark. Like you talked about it, and Yiska talked about how they've ruined careers. Coldest coming out of Chinese contenders that year was far and away the best flex support the region had ever seen, and it wasn't close. He was literally, the nickname that they gave him was Chinese Jonak because he was that good. And then he just goes to Spark and he gets wasted. So like if they can, I don't know, get Coldest back from the depths of where he was on the Spark, it'd be good. But like this team won't be like world beaters, obviously. And I think that's just like, it's about setting expectation for these teams. Like a win for this team is like getting, I don't know, like 8 wins, 10 wins, somewhere around there. Being semi-competitive against some of the better teams, but you're not realistically getting past the Spark, I think.
Yeah.
And I'll be shocked if they get past Philly.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I don't have anything to say. Nothing positive, that is. So, Yiska, do you want to sell me on your Valiant stonks?
I mean, I think the problem is like the optics are weird, right? Like because they keep adding DPS or rotating DPS. I think I generally this might, like, if you're a player, like, don't have any ill will towards me, but I think as a selection method, just rotating through your 30-day contract and getting rid of you if you don't perform before the season is actually the ideal
smart
solution if you're on limited budget, right? Now, I don't understand why that is happening on the DPS role for this team, especially in the 4th slot. I would understand more if it was the 3rd. Have they actually officially announced any players?
Not to my knowledge.
Right.
Yeah, of course they've announced players. Dia Innovation, Vicky Coldest, and Links are their announced players.
Sorry, who?
Well done.
Dia Innovation, Becky, Coldest, Linkser.
Okay, these are official. Okay.
Which is the Chinese Linkser.
Yeah. So, like, of course, like, the tank situation is, it's probably not as bad as one would think.
Whoa.
As in, like, they do have a tank.
What would one think?
They have a tank.
Oh yeah, they have a tank.
They certainly have somebody playing the tank role.
Definitely don't have no tank, correct? Yeah. So
sure,
if the bad thing that you were thinking is, oh my god, Valiant don't have a tank, it's definitely better than that.
Now I'm getting a little concerned about the volatility in their roster this late into the offseason. I didn't foresee that happening. You know? I thought like No Hill would get on his, like, crystallize his starting roster earlier. Maybe that happened, but they haven't announced yet. But like, I don't hate the reiteration of that situation consistently. Now, I think there is some credit to be given to that coach to the similar degree. Like, I feel like this is like a Paris, a Valiant season 3 type of story in the making, with the potential to get that. I think he has amassed a lot of players that, like, if you look at the profile of the players that he signed, a lot of them are like formerly players held in high regard that have something to prove. I could totally see how this team's very hungry. Like, Coldest must be hungry. Sure. Dia must be hungry. Huyal, if that's the coach, must be hungry to some degree. Right?
No Hill's hungry because he's got something to prove against all the other Chinese teams.
Yeah.
100%.
One thing, I do have information. So the current rumor, according to Halo, for that 4th DPS slot that No Hill really wants to fill for some reason, is Easy Han from Team CC of last year's Team CC roster.
Shocking.
So it's gone from Ixie to Kaylee now to Easy Han as the rumored 4th DPS, and it's all hit scan. So No Hill really wants a hit scan in that 4th position.
By the way, No Hill was the one who secured the Valiant their current living space. So
yeah, he did that as well.
Yeah, he's an animal.
Doing everything.
He's an absolute.
He is like, I mean, he's LG Huya Championship, Team CC Championship, Gauntlet Championship. Like, he's got the pedigree. He's definitely very good at his job.
that goes without saying. I have nothing but good things to say when looking
You know
at
what?
this coaching staff.
This is the opposite of Spark, where it's like Spark is just
Yes.
like they just like stacked with good talent, but then you're like, oh, but I don't really trust the management.
Yeah.
Here, you like ultra trust the management. You're like, oh, No Hill's like he's a god, but then like, oh, the talent's not that great, but I'll give them a free pass or hand wave it because it's No Hill. It's like the complete opposite.
Yep. I can't speak highly enough of that pedigree. I do trust him. However, I look at that DPS lineup and I agree. I think there's a lot of hungry players here, and there are some like genuine gems that like should not be dropped through the rough. I see that DPS lineup is rigid. I think it's going to be difficult for him to like find a stable like core throughout the season. If I'm gonna flame Hotba for throwing some good shit in season 1, bruh, I better not hear any fucking washed up Pharah player stepping in for the Valiant, right? Like, I'm sorry. I hate to badmouth any players. I don't mean any ill will. I say this purely for entertainment. That shit can't fly. Just can't. This is gonna be some water in the wine shit that No Hill's gonna have to pull from somebody that barely anybody in like the Overwatch League community probably remembers seeing them play as like your starting main tank in the season that they reduce the tank pool and make it more like playmaking. Sorry, I can't trust that. I just can't. As much as I like No Hill, as much as I like Coldus, as much as I like Dia, sorry, not good.
So let's talk about the tanks. So you are no bueno on Sashin.
No, I can't be. I can't in good faith try to sell you any kind of weird hyperbolic bullshit that this player who, let me just do a quick little, for the sake of it.
A Wikipedia search.
He was on Spark.
Yeah.
Did he play?
He did
I don't
play.
remember.
He did play.
He played a bit, yeah.
Sick.
It was pre-Bernard Liga.
He played Zarya mostly, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just not gonna cut it. Like, it feels.
But it's No Hill. No Hill surely can't
I
get this
know.
wrong. He chose Sashin. If he chose Sashin,
I mean,
he did it for a reason, right?
I mean, what is he? I mean, what else does he get though at this point? Like, I mean, what else is left? Like, what else can, with the budget that they have, get anything left? I mean, there has to be someone better than Sashin, I imagine.
Just get Sato. Sato's there. He's just like, hello to me.
Yeah, get a couple of 2 liters of Coke and just like ship it off to him and just say, hey,
set up
want to come play on
LH,
Valiant?
LH Cloudy's available. Just saying.
Okay, all right.
That'd be fucking hilarious.
What about? They actually. I'm not kidding. There was this rumor. I'm gonna bring this up. I rated Ben Best one day, and he mentioned to me that we all know that he had an offer. He said that he had an offer for this year, and that offer fell through due to visa problems.
Yes.
Apparently,
you think he was the guy?
That was apparently he said it was an APAC offer, and I made very sure to check. It was like, you mean one of the Asian teams in the Eastern Division? He's like, yes. One of the 7 teams offered him. And looking through it, the only 2 possible teams that I think it could have been the Guangzhou Charge or the LA Valiant, except the Guangzhou Charge already had 2 tanks.
Correct.
So they would have to be adding on a 3rd tank, which doesn't make a lot of fucking sense for a team that's going for a pretty lean roster.
Yep.
That'd be
guess who didn't have a tank? Valiant didn't have a fucking tank.
Yep. And I'm not gonna like.
Bro, you say who could have they have gotten? It legitimately might have been Ben Best.
Sure.
Legitimately.
And just in a vacuum, let's just tease the idea for a moment before I shit all over it, right? I like Ben Best. I thought he's been pretty underrated throughout his career. I think his points are really quite good. His Winston is serviceable. I don't know at this caliber in Overwatch 2. I like that better than Sasha. Right? I just do. I like that on paper in a vacuum.
On, man.
However, having a trilingual roster isn't going to cut it. Just not smart. I
No,
I trust
they're
No
just-
Hill.
They're doing English. It's not trilingual. They're just doing English.
Yeah, they just do English. Half the roster's fluent in English anyway, or commed already in English, I should say.
Yeah, I get it.
By the way, half of those players have already played in a Chinese Korean mix where they just did English, right? So it wouldn't be that hard. You'd have to.
Teams you see
and actually,
never come
one
Chinese,
other
by
thing.
the way.
They never call them Chinese?
Nope, they were Korean English.
Ben Best also played on a Korean team with Sparkle and the rest. And they did that, whatever comm situation they did there.
Yeah.
So, in a crazy world, I don't think the comms would have been the biggest issue. In my opinion.
Yeah. I'm just gonna have my own doubts on that. And yeah, I like it more. I do like it more. I get like, yes, teams have played together in the past. Spark has a history of having like the English roster, or not the English roster, but the English calming structure. It doesn't work. I'm sorry. There's other examples. I just not my cup of tea. Go through the catalog of Tactical Crouch podcasts. I've never been that way. Just my opinion.
I'll just put out there, even if you don't get Ben Best and you get a Korean or Chinese tank, they still have to comment English.
Exactly. And I don't like that either.
No matter what, well then who the fuck can you get?
I don't build my team this way. I start you that way, but that's for another podcast for another day.
But the current situation is they have to get somebody.
Of course.
And if not Sashin, then who?
That's a great question.
Lure Bernard away from Spark somehow.
What's Cleston doing?
You can get Dreamer. You can get
Gargoyle?
Stan 1. And we all forgot about the most important player that could have been on this team, that probably should have been on this team, is Among.
Sure. Yeah,
He's looking.
Gargoyle.
I don't hate
Late Young could have been here if No Hill
he's
wanted.
retired, so.
No, he's retired because he couldn't find a team.
Well,
if he found a team, he wouldn't have retired.
Oh, I wish they could just get Liga or something.
Yeah, they don't have the money to pay for Liga.
Yeah.
The fuck? You're getting burned.
I don't think they're buying.
From Spark.
Yeah,
I don't think they're paying a buyout. I think if you look at who all their players are, look at the roster again. I'm pretty sure their entire roster is no buyouts.
Yep.
Because Coldus' contract ended, right? He was a free agent, was he not?
Yep.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Did Linksa require a buyout? Was Linksa a free agent?
No. Team Chasers contracts were over after that.
So it's a 100% zero buyout team.
Yep.
So you can't snipe somebody from the Hangzhou Spark. Can't do that.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's
So-
dire straits.
Yeah, you're
So
kind
yeah.
of ruined.
Anybody else commenting on Sashin before we move on?
Worst tank in the league? Anybody?
okay.
Any buyers? Any biters? Any biters? Worst tank in the league? Going once.
Nope.
Hang on, I have to look at all the tanks first.
You
before I
don't
can-
think that's the worst tank in the league?
I have to
Pray
look
tell,
at
Yiska.
I have to look at all the tanks. Oh,
I hear you.
Yes. Yeah, I know why Yiska doesn't think it is, because you guys
I'm not
had the
going to
Vancouver
say it.
episode already.
I'm not looking
We
forward
had
to
the
my
Vancouver
DMs.
episode.
Oh my god.
Oh,
We
is
did the Vancouver
that
episode.
bad? Oh no.
And,
That's also not true. I think Sashin has to be considered the worst tank in the league. I don't think he will
so
start.
I can't. What did you say? You were breaking out.
I don't think he will start.
You don't think he will start?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Oh, no.
Did I hear that right?
Did we lose him?
You lagged out for me yesterday.
Really? Hello?
Either you're
You don't
screaming
think-
into the mic,
No,
or you're not talking.
no, it's all fine on my.
Okay. Now.
Okay. Try again.
Okay, he's the worst, probably the worst tank. Probably not going to start, therefore not the worst starter.
Wait, whoa.
Who's gonna start then?
Whoa.
Oh, you think Wu Hyel starts? Okay.
Oh, okay.
No, Wukel's not going to be Wukel's reported to not be playing anymore. Wukel's reported to only be a coaching team and not
Dude,
a player.
they're gonna
Is
see
it-
Sashin and they're gonna be like, dude,
yeah,
who
Wukel, come on
guys,
in.
ring the bell, get the summons out here, dude. This is this boss is too
Okay.
hard.
We don't feel good about
Oh,
Sashin.
Yeah,
But do
like
we
if he
feel good
plays, he's
about-
the worst starting tank in the league. Yeah, I agree.
But do we feel good about Coldus and Linksa?
yes.
Yeah,
Linksa comes in pretty hot.
Mm-hmm.
fuck the
Ironically, his
Spark,
teammate is
dude.
Coldus.
Oh my god, Lynx
think
is a
one of,
four-time contenders champ, by the way. Now
who is?
Lynx is a four-time contenders champ.
Yeah, he's looking for a comeback story from contenders because he got dropped back into contenders. He's trying to make a comeback. Fun fact about Coldest: one of his Smurf names is Cold J. One of his other Smurf names is Hot J. That's a fun fact about Coldest.
What is the
Just want to
J
put that out there.
in reference to?
No idea.
Is this about
No
Jonah?
idea. No idea. Couldn't even begin to tell you.
Good
Any,
support line, though.
I mean,
Like
it's
it.
fine.
This is decent. This
Yeah.
is a decent support line.
Mhm.
But
The fact that they
It's-
got this is pretty cool. Like,
but
Yeah.
but the question is this better than, or can it defeat Super Rich Irony, Unique
No.
Molly, Fixer Aim God, Creative Vendame, or any of them? Even the Chengdu guys, obviously probably not the Shanghai guys, but
To
the fix it-
confidently put them above some of these is tough. I think they could compete like in a duo Overwatch League, like in a vacuum, just comparing the supports. Yeah, I think they can compete. I would say that.
I think they're better than Fixa. Well, okay, I shouldn't say better, definitely, because I don't know a lot about Fixa. Fake God, I think, is definitely not as good
Fake-
as
Fate God? What?
Fake God. Fake
Aim
God,
God?
Fake God. Wait, am I saying it right or am I?
Aim
Did he
God?
change his name?
Aim God, sorry. Why did
Yeah,
I say
you're
fake?
fine.
Oh, that's the Fake God's the league.
Ah,
player.
that's a
Okay.
Freudian.
I was gonna say
Aim
you were
God.
yeah. That's definitely Freudian because I was like, is this beef? Is this like
No.
throwing out spice? What's going on here? Like,
I think Coldus is a better like flex support. Well, okay. I think if he's like gonna be as good as he used to be, which I don't know, maybe Spark have sucked the life out of him, like they suck the life out of every other player that comes through their freaking team. I think he's better than probably Aim God is.
he's a husk now. He's a husk of a
He
player.
might just like he might have gotten fucking hit by the Reapers and fucking Mass Effect 2, and he's just not who he used to be.
What a game.
I just this it's fine. It's a fine support line. This is probably the best that they were gonna get that like was Chinese and that could like get like at the time,
Mhm.
and it's good. I think I really would like to see Coldest play a lot better, or like play first off play the fucking game, and then second of all, I would like to see him recapture a little bit of how good he was beforehand, because he was extremely talented, and then got Molly came in far away, Monk, these other flex supports came in and stole his thunder. So I mean, I think they can compete with like the last two teams that we have above them. Beyond that, there's no way they touch like the top four.
So a good support line,
Yeah.
but a lot of other good support lines out there probably. I think they have a chance of maybe touching Unique Molly, depending on how Charge do.
Sure.
Maybe.
Cool with that.
DPS 3 plus a rumor. Really
This is a
interesting
lot.
really interesting how No Hill is like dead set on getting 4 DPS as a priority.
Mhm.
I mean,
Uh,
he has like 2.5 right. Because I
2.5.
I mean, Innovation can't play more than 2 heroes, man. It's just the Tracer and the Mei. There's nothing else.
And the Sombra.
No.
That's one of his heroes. That's one of his key signature heroes.
Oh my god. I mean, he's here because Team CC connection with No Hill. I think that's like the reason
Yeah.
he's here. His Tracer's really good. Like, don't get me wrong. His
He's
Tracer's
the Venom of this team.
Yeah, he's literally Venom.
No, he's
With
got a
a
better hero pool than Venom.
Sure.
Oh, because he has another hero.
Sure.
He has one extra hero. He has double the hero pool of Venom.
200% more hero pool. Sick.
Hey, look,
I mean, I
Venom joined the league on one hero. That's impressive as fuck.
That is.
I mean, Becky, I think I don't know too much about Becky in terms of like their DPS prowess.
Mhm.
Just good. Like it's just alright, you know, not
Dia is this. I
breaking
think is a
anyone's backs.
superstar, man. I really think that Dia is. I mean, even back when it was 0-40 Shanghai, like he was
Yeah.
still pretty good. He's very, very good, and it's a shame that he didn't get to ride the hype of the 2019 or 2020, sorry, Gauntlet season,
Mm-hmm.
where he was potentially the best DPS in all of contenders.
Yep.
And now he's lost that momentum. He's on a team that's really like not great, and while he won't go winless, and he'll get his first Overwatch League win this season, Yeah,
Will be his first ever? Has he never
Yeah.
won an Overwatch League game before?
Nope.
No. Well, no. Was he on one of the teams when Shanghai got their first win? Was he on the team on the bench or some shit?
Yep. Yeah, he was on the bench, but he didn't play though, right?
Yeah.
he
So
didn't.
he's
So-
not
Yeah.
gonna. Yeah. So he's. Yeah, that's just for the redditors. You're gonna be like, Dia got his first win back when they beat Boston. It's like, yeah, he didn't.
Yeah.
As a starter, he'll get his first win, and
Yeah.
then, I mean, Ezhan, if that's the rumor, I remember
He's
hearing good
decent.
things about them on Team CC, and
he's
it's no
decent.
hill.
He's not as good as Dia. I think it's so weird that they get this
Yeah.
guy. Like, if anything,
No,
you need to get a guy that covers innovations weak points, not a guy
Yep.
that just does hit scan again.
No hill's really gonna have to spin gold out of this thread, man. There's like
Yeah.
no other way.
I figured out innovation swapping to tank. That has to be.
Pog. May
Has to be.
tank.
Why didn't they just keep Shou Chang then at that point, bro? Just fucking play Shou Chang, dude.
Yeah. I hate that.
Would you,
I
Joe?
hate
Would you
that.
rather have Shashin or Shou Chang right now, dude? As a tank.
I'd probably
That's-
actually. I'm not gonna lie. It'd probably make me have session. I think we're being very low on session. We're being exceptionally low on session. No, you guys make it out like you guys are making it out like he's some silver 3 level player. That's not what it is.
No, he's
That's not
not
what it is.
bad. Like he's not bad, bro. Like he played what 2020. He missed
was
the year.
Fine. He was fine.
I don't think
Yes,
fine.
he's fine.
I don't think he's
Guys.
as bad as Joe is saying. I'm just
Guys.
memeing it.
Joe thinks he's an awful player. Yeah, Joe.
Yes,
Let me.
He will be woeful. will Mark my words. I'm sorry. When the narrative of these team previews has, bro, everybody's leveled up, and we're signing somebody who has missed not one. I guess one. I can't add. It's 5 in the morning. He
he's
missed
still
the
good.
year.
He's
No,
still good.
he's not. He's not.
No,
He's
no,
the
no,
worst
let me-
tank in the league.
Clip
Worst
it.
tank. Worst tank.
Clip
Let me
it.
prove to you why he's still good.
Okay.
He in December 10th of 2021 last year, so just the end of the last year, he got 4,500 on all rolls.
That's sick.
It's not bad.
Dude,
It's not
great.
bad.
Fantastic. Dude, fucking love it. Ugh.
Awesome.
He also got ranks 1, 2, and 3 on the Asia server August last year. He
I
held
mean,
the
it
top
is
3 rank.
impressive.
He also got
Mhm.
rank 1 and rank 2 on the Asia server in July of last year.
Yeah.
So he's not been playing pro, but my guy's been somehow farming rank.
He's,
he was getting-
he's a
those,
farmer.
by the way, were all 4,600 accounts.
That is
Holy
impressive.
shit, dude. He's a god.
I cannot
Joe's
take that away
sweating.
from him.
Joe's
All I'm saying
sweating.
is like it's not like he's lived in a fucking ditch for a year.
You're right.
He's been playing the game. He's been around.
Hey,
Doubt
I
manifesting.
I get it. 100%. Worst Spank Tank.
Ugh.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Oh,
if he's as good as he is, let's this is not a fair argument.
All
Like,
right, here's
why
the
isn't
thing.
anybody else picking him up? Why is it the Valiant? 4,600, baby. Hey,
Because
where's
No
Mayhem?
Hill-
Let's start
because-
knocking.
Because No Hill's a god. No Hill knows what he's doing.
You
No,
know, I'm more than happy to
No
eat
Hill
my
has
words.
a crystal ball.
I
No
am
Hill's got the crystal ball.
I am
He looked
more
into
than
the-
happy to
He looked
eat
at
my
the crystal
words.
ball. He looked at the crystal ball, and Dormammu said Sashin. He's like, no, it can't be. And Dormammu's like, yeah, Sashin. And he's like, fuck, I gotta get Sashin then.
I will eat all of the crow. I will hold the largest L. I will I don't know what I'll do.
We
I
should
might eat a shoe.
We should put bets on this. This is too
You
good.
should.
Yeah.
You
That is
should.
the
So
worst
what-
move.
What would
Oh,
you like to
God.
bet? What would you like to bet?
Oh, here we go.
Mm,
And what is your bet,
what would be?
Mr.
I
Mr.
can't do that.
Chengdu against the field?
Oh,
You have a great history.
Change your Twitter profile picture for a month.
I'll do that. But what's the bet? I don't know what the bet is.
That he won't be the worst tank in the Overwatch League.
How do you
That's-
quantify that? How do you?
You're
even
not
quantify
doing
something
this
like that?
again. You're not doing this again.
What?
I will stop you from doing the fucking dumbest bet in the world that one person will play against the field. I can't take that bet on your
Okay.
behalf. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Just
so
here.
so offer a bet that's like up to your expectation. Like, what would be a fair bet?
Yeah, Joe, make the bet yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have the burden of proof. All right.
No, I'm
if-
just. Like, you have some convictions, so prove them and put something at stake. Very easy.
Oh yes, it's very. My conviction is that I think fucking Sashin will be the worst performing main tank in the Overwatch League.
Yeah,
What do you think, Yiska?
I think
Yiska
that's
thinks he
true,
won't be.
but I want a bet out of you because I don't have the same conviction that this will happen because I think there's a very. that-
You
I'm-
stick to your guns.
I'm willing to bet that it's like not even a 50% chance of this being true. So I want to take you up on that bet because I think we disagree on odds.
Oh, shit.
No, I got in your way the first time. I won't do it again. The third time, you're getting eyebrowed. All right, Valiant, they're gonna get a win, and I will get my Valiant pom poms out, and I will shed a man tear for Dia to finally be unbranded from that godforsaken Shanghai team.
Oh, fuck.
Past that point, not great.
Who could he be better than? I think he could be
Nobody.
better than
Nobody.
both. No.
Nobody.
He could absolutely be
Holy
better than
shit.
Rio and Krong.
No.
He could be better than
both of
False.
them? The both. Okay, yeah. That. All right.
He
I'll
could
give you
be.
that. I give you that one.
Shit.
That was not a bad vote. But
There are not many
we don't know
others.
what Vancouver's doing. There's not many others. And you wanted to do the field, bro. I could have had you eyebrowless.
No, I'm
I
saying
could have
like.
had you.
What do you mean against the
eyebrowless.
field? I wanted to bet that he won't be the worst.
Brother
Like-
man, you almost bet the field,
Yeah.
the entire Overwatch League, that Sashin was not going to be the worst. Do you understand those odds?
Okay,
You're a man
think
of
there's-
logic and reason. Please.
I don't think I understand what you're saying. So
Oh, I'm
I
crying.
think it's very easy for him to not be the worst.
yeah,
One tank has to be worse. than
yeah,
him.
that seems very easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's even possible that he will be an average tank in the Overwatch League.
You think Sashin will be an average tank?
It could
in the
is
Overwatch League?
Was
possible.
in 2020. He already did that in 2020. There's a precedent set. I mean,
There's a
been
precedent
no-
set in a different tank role.
Oh my. Everett, you want to share an eyebrow against this idiot?
Oh my
like,
God.
So anyway, we were supposed to be talking about DPS, and somehow we got sidetracked again. We're supposed to be talking about DPS here.
I mean,
guys. Come on, what
Sashin
the
is
hell's
kind
going
of a
on?
DPS.
Sheesh.
You're not
He's doing
wrong.
some-
Jesus.
He's the only damage he's doing now is some brain damage to certain people. I don't know. I'm getting brain damage listening to this right now. So yes,
Anybody else about the DPS?
So
Going
Dia-
once.
Dia is
Anybody?
really
DPS
so
is the
good.
best part of
Like,
this team. There we go.
so it's the Spark again. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
The
No, it's the
parallels
coaching
from
staff.
this team to the Spark are actually insane.
Yeah.
Parallels between this team and the Spark are actually
yeah.
really hardcore.
They're like opposites.
Except one's a likable team and the other one's a fucking
just-
husk of a human being.
Yeah.
So Valiant's
That sucks
likable
to
and,
life.
and Hangzhou is the husk of human being. Got it.
Yeah.
Um,
no, yeah, you're right. That's exactly what
So Dia is, I think, the individual best player on this team across all the
Mhm.
roles. He's really sharp. And here's the thing. Here's the one thing I'll say against what Joe's saying. Dia also took a year off from the gameplay, but he's fucking
true.
insane.
It's true.
Which we know he's insane. I don't think that's the biggest crime. I don't think that's the biggest like mark against the players. Like, oh, they took a year off. Okay. Not the biggest deal. You can come back and still be really good. Not everyone. I'm not saying everyone who comes back from a year off is just instantly good, but
Mm-hmm.
I've seen
It's gotta
some
be-
Dia gameplay recently. It's good. It's,
sure.
it's- By recently, I mean in the last 5 or so months, because
Mhm.
it's still recent enough. Who cares? Yeah, the guy's still mechanically gifted as hell. He's really good mechanically, for real.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't disagree.
Cool. All right. Ranking time. This team is. I'm going to just cop out and give this team. I'm actually not going to give them the same as Spark. I'm going to give this team similar to Guangzhou, but I'm going to say anywhere between 4 and 7. As in, if No Hill really is a god, they can maybe get up to something like a 4th place.
Yeah.
Where they're not at all able to break the top 3 because the quality difference in terms of the players is just too great to overcome.
Yeah.
But at least the other bottom teams they'll be able to beat, is what I think. But failing that, they could easily also just be 7th.
Yep.
This is a team that definitely has the capability of still being last, potentially.
Would agree. Yeah, I think APAC ranking wise, I would tend to agree. This is like a 5 to 7 team. They're gonna get wins. I don't doubt that. I trust No Hill to get wins. I don't trust this roster to perform much in the way past that. If this is like a rebuild season and that's how they want to spin it, I'm charitable to that. But I think this is a bottom 5 team in the world, as it stands currently. But that's better than last season. You have to give them that. This is an improvement.
Who in NA can Valiant definitely beat?
Who in NA? Yeah, the more I hear about Vancouver, the less I like. They probably can battle the Spitfire.
They beat the Spitfire. Please, for the love of Christ, like
they probably battle
without a flex
the
support.
Titans. Yeah. Well, I mean, if
it's the person I think it is, then I still think they'll beat him.
Yeah.
As in, if the rumors are true and it's Landon.
Yeah.
Landon on London. Anyway.
I mean, there's no one really.
I'm still undecided on what to do with New York. Call me a hater. I don't really care. Defiant, you're not out of this.
No way.
I don't think Defiant's good, man. They're not good.
I like
travesty.
this.
You think Chorong and Twilight are gonna lose?
Yeah,
it's
a
travesty.
It is a
That
travesty.
is a travesty.
I slowly start to
just
understand the hate
I
that
can't
people
try.
saying we hate Toronto. I get it now.
Do you disagree though?
Yes, I disagree.
I disagree.
I disagree with that
Yeah.
entirely.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
I think
a team like Boston is more likely to dip lower.
Ooh,
what
interesting.
the
I
fuck?
think Eternal can also be down there. I mean, Eternal,
Yeah.
dude. Like once again, this is a team that's so incredibly under resourced. It's nuts.
Well, yeah. But they have.
Like you think they have as much as the bottom teams, and then you look at the number of people that are actually working there, and no, they don't.
No, yeah. Avala, I think, recently tweeted that she was doing like videography work now. I'm like, God bless you. You're a saint.
Yeah, shout outs to Avala, man.
So, who's next to rank them?
I
I think Yiska hasn't gone. I don't think
Oh.
Kenobi's gone.
I haven't gone. I guess I'll go. They are 7th in APAC with a
Just
with a
7th?
height of 5th, and I think if
Okay.
4th is like the 0.001 percentile. There's fucking don't think it's possible with the players they have, unless No Hill literally does turn water into wine and does it on camera. And then I think in the world I have them 18th, above Vancouver and above.
Okay. I think that's the conservative take that gets 0 clicks. So I'm just going to say they're not going to be last.
Yeah, you're also a crackhead. There's fucking there's
in all
APAC.
of the 20 teams.
No,
in APAC.
in
Yeah.
APAC.
no, there's no like.
Give me a rank.
Where are they? Yeah, where if they're not last,
Sixth.
where are they?
6th.
Who's under them?
Who's last?
Charge.
You're fucking.
All right. I mean, it's possible.
And
I'll
then,
put my eyebrows.
and
for that
then,
shit.
okay.
I mean, careful. You're an honor talent. Please, Jesus.
I'm creating hopium out of thin air. Watch me.
Yeah. You gonna
Cold fusion
do some
incoming.
alchemy?
Now, what if there's a gigantic collapse of the hunters? Suddenly, like
Oh my
the-
god.
the husk of this formerly great team is remaining.
Mm-hmm.
No Hill also
No.
finds some
No.
sponsorship shit. Suddenly they got some of those stars, bro. And then
Mm-hmm.
Sparks. Suddenly they're like already in 5th.
Yep.
And then, what if Fusion doesn't work out?
Yeah, what if Shanghai doesn't work out? Yiska?
Yeah,
What about
dude.
that?
What if all the teams just didn't have computers to play Overwatch 2 with? Fuck. Like, what if that? Then Valiant's first.
I mean, to be fair, like looking at the stock of Huya, that might soon happen that they do have to.
You can't.
Dude,
There's no shot, dude.
I can't wait.
I think they're unlikely to be last. I think there's too much volatility in this in this bullshit region with like way too much dumb shit happening. That
Yep.
One
They're
boy
not good enough, man. Ugh.
I think Noel got it. You know, hey,
I
I
like it.
love No Hill, but like, dude, he literally has to be Christ. Like, I just
yeah.
He's about to be, because once he turns that water into wine, guess what? It turns out that Leave's currency of choice is wine. He's going to be bought with the wine.
Look,
I like it.
So we're going to have a lot of shaved eyebrows this year when we find out that suddenly Chengdu have imploded, No Hill has acquired Leave,
Yep.
and boom, now Valiant are fucking amazing.
all right. Sick.
I thought the
That would
same
be
thing
nuts.
about
Should
Paris
I grab the
yesterday.
razor now,
you
or
know,
like what?
I
What
thought
now?
the same thing about Paris last year. And suddenly, Paris ain't last. They're not even second to last. They're pretty mid.
Sure. Yep.
Right? Now, like from the teleport back, and I guess that's the last thing I'll say on this, but teleport back to the situation where you evaluate Paris and Joe doesn't count.
Yeah.
And the you suck. The just stabbing you for no reason, just violence. Like, I don't think this Paris team looked that much better than the Valiant team does look now. I think there's potential for inaccuracy in really solid coaching and like team cohesion, and a team that has a lot to prove is dangerous as fuck, man. So
Not wrong.
I think I'm willing to bet they're not going to be last.
I think that's kind of based. I'm not gonna lie. I think it is. I think D is hungry as fuck.
Than I am.
I think D is hungry as fuck, and like you will beat any team that's coasting with low morale.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah,
So-
but how many teams are gonna do that?
Well, Hangzhou,
There's
if
gonna
they
be
get
some
to
of
a
them.
bad start. Hangzhou, if they're off to a bad start. Guangzhou, if they're off to a bad start.
Oh, I mean, like I think. I said Hangzhou could be last.
Like,
We got him, boys. We converted him.
can you just like imagine being like shy, waking up to like all this Billy like paraphernalia next to him? It's like basically the equivalent of Tickle Me Elmo, some anime shit. Waking up in the morning and it's going like, oh my god, I'm once again having to go to this practice facility, man. Like, we haven't seen
So
our
anyway,
coaches
that
in
is-
6 months.
That rounds it up for our LA Valiant team preview for 2022. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to go over to the next team now. Our final team of the preview and of the episode. And it's none other than the long-awaited Philadelphia Fusion, the full Korean version.
Yes.
That only has Carpe remaining. RIP Alarm, you will be missed.
Yes.
It only has Carpe remaining with a lot of rookies. A lot of rookies? 3 rookies. 1 returning player named God. Fury returns as well. Fury, the homecoming of Fury. Look at that, poggers.
Mhm.
I mean, they don't have a lot of players. It doesn't look like there'll be any further additions. I think maybe mid-season. But for now, Fusion look like they just got 6. Because they just took a team photo as well. I know that's not like the
Sure. Yeah. At the end, I'll be
be all end or like what you saw a team photo is decided. But I mean, there's only 6 people there. I haven't heard any other news. No rumors. Halo's quiet on this team. I think Halo doesn't really report on the Philly Fusion anymore anyway, but it doesn't seem like they're getting more players. It seems like this is legitimately it.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we feel? Also, I didn't change my background. Let me do that.
I
Y'all
think
need to
overall,
take me to church about this fucking MN.
yeah,
Guy. Like I don't know.
this is definitely an improvement from last year. I think on paper, you look at that team last year, it's stacked, right? The issue is how rigid a lot of those players ended up being, whether that be, a difficulty of their role within the team and how like all over the place it was because of their visa issues. That being said, I can support a team that's lean and mean. I think much in the same way that we're talking about the Valiant being, a team that has a lot to prove. You look at two rookies, you look at a veteran who deserves a lot more deserved recognition, if that makes sense. Like, people just big up Carpe just because like he's been around and like has some flashy plays, but like he really doesn't have much in the way of a trophy, right? And I think like he has a chip on his shoulder this season. I think that's kind of like the story for this team in general. You look at Fury last season, you look at Aim God's career in general. I think Philly has a lot to prove.
I think with Philly, the thing that has always haunted them, and like from the beginning, has been like this is a team of choke, and it's like they haven't won anything, and in those like moments where they need to win, they don't. Like the Valiant Numbani map is like a perfect example where you just had to beat that team on Numbani, and you don't have to play a play in and lose to, or you get.
No, they
pretty
didn't make the
significant-
plans. They simply didn't make the plans because of
Oh,
that.
they just didn't. Okay, so they didn't even make the plans. There we go. Even better. So, like, this team has always been towards like has always had like these like moments where they just get there and they just don't. They've been to a lot of finals, never win. And I think now that they're kind of hitting like the semi reset button with the team, where they're bringing in like a lot of different talent. Everything I hear about MN3 and Zest is that I need to be converted to some sort of cult, because they're that good. Carpe is Carpe. Yuri is, I think, probably going to thrive in a situation like this where this is like Overwatch 2 and it's just a regular tank. And I really did like what I saw from Aim God on Team CC. Fixa, I don't know as much about, but like overall, I think the best part about this team is that they have done some sort of rebuild and have kind of gotten away from that core that was always successful up until the point that they weren't, and like they couldn't win like ever. Getting rid of that might.
Yiska, you like the fusion?
Yeah. I kind of hope this is the season where okay. Part of me thinks maybe I've been a little bit too low on Carpe. I think like he definitely had top tier performances over the last year. I think it is the problem is we get very quickly tired of narratives or like people not like if they don't do anything like overly exciting or don't achieve anything tangible, then you're like very quick to criticize them for things that are really still extraordinary, right? Yeah, I think once again you have to point out the main tank the tank situation. Then again, it's fucking Fury. Now this it feels like if you have a bodybuilder, right, and the DPS are the arms, they got some fat biceps on that, right?
Sure.
Their core
Sizable
strength in their
biceps.
main tank role could be better, but you definitely see the six-pack showing, right? Like, Fury's a
Sure.
stud. No, they skipped leg day, bro, in those supports down there. Like, unfortunately, that's not the body composition that I want for my team that can rival for the top spots in APAC, right?
Or you could be like the Spark, where you just got extra everything. You're like, core, I might just have 3 stomachs. Fuck it.
You ever seen those guys who inject like the oil, the synthol into their
Yeah.
biceps, and it's just like this balloon? That's what the Spark feel like. They're just ballooned up.
They're
Yeah.
at like the fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger, like
You just got
Iron Man
teams
bodybuilders.
with like 3 tanks. Chengdu's got 4
Mhm.
supports. Like, what are they doing there? Yeah, this is very clearly a kind of pivot where like they were so burned by, and there could be other reasons, but one of them would be that they were so burned by the whole visa situation last year, they don't even want to think about that for another season. So go full Korean. But what I'm really interested in is the fact that, not that I know the full budget of the team, but it does feel like a cheaper roster. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's just less people. I think any older version of the Fusion would have added probably 2 to 3 more players minimum.
Yeah.
Because Fusion are known to have big rosters. This is the smallest Fusion roster they've ever fielded. As I've said, it doesn't look like they're getting anybody else. Maybe in the mid-season, but for now, into stage 1, it's looking like just the core 6, the literal minimum 6 players, and that's it. Nothing else. They've changed up quite a lot of the team in terms of the staff as well. Like, you've had plenty of the coaches go off into other areas. Jin's come in from T1 now. They really are just kind of transferring a lot of T1 into this team, is what I can see and tell.
Mhm.
And to be fair, I would be worried if it wasn't for the fact that T1 actually was pretty good.
Mhm.
And despite them obviously not winning because they bowed out of playoffs entirely, because we all know that O2 Blast are insane, and T1 being a very good team in a region where O2 Blast exist, I think that speaks probably well to Fusion and T1 a little bit. And so that's kind of why I have some decent hopium for the roster, because I'd feel worse about them building a core out of T1 if it wasn't for the fact that, you know, T1 and O2 were neck and neck racing last year. That was pretty intense. I also think their DPS lineup is crazy good. I've probably been a bit down on Carpe as well, admittedly, but I just don't. I think Carpe is a little bit one-dimensional. And to be fair, a lot of hit scans are. So it's not just him, but he's just like a hard hit scan player. Doesn't really have a lot more to offer. Some people be like, "Oh, what about the Carpe Tracer?" No, not good.
Oh, not after
No,
last
no,
season.
No,
Jesus.
no.
If Carpe had a season and a time to show that he had a good tracer, it was last year, and he didn't fucking show it. I'm sorry. 4 DPS players, not a single good tracer player. Unlucky. So simply no. No one come at me with some Carpe tracer. You're simply wrong. He does not have a good tracer. Period. I'll give you his other hit scans. Yeah, he did well in stage 1. Yeah, he hit some good shots. Very, good player for the right meta, but Fusion, despite having a giant roster last year, didn't find the right meta. I don't know. Can't really explain it to you. So Carpe, even this year, is at risk of maybe not being on a starting lineup, because now let's just get straight into DPS. MN3 is, I think, the most exciting rookie talent in Korea after Proper coming into this year. He's wild. I mean, you can look at his rookie. You can look at his highlight clip that Philly put on their channels, their socials. Insane plays, just at a mechanical level. He's doing wild stuff, and the best part, he also has a tracer, unlike Carpe. And an even better part is, I think his hit scan's better than Carpe. For real. I think he's actually got a better hit scan, mechanical prowess, and then on top of that has an extra tracer. So he's just doing stuff that Carpe can't do or isn't doing. I think MN3 is better than Carpe. I really do, and he's a rookie. And if we're talking about a standard like projectile plus hit scan mix up, you got Zest playing projectile, hit scan goes to MN3, and then what does Carpe do? He just plays on the bench. Because why would you play Carpe over MN3 unless Carpe is like integral to your team's dynamic and intangible factors, some sort of leadership quality thing? I don't see how Carpe is mechanically better, in my opinion.
Sure.
I don't think he is. Also, Zest has kind of gotten by and not being on people's radars as much because MN3's dominated the conversation, but Zest is probably going to be their primary tracer player, because most flex DPS now are required to be good tracer players, and Zest definitely is that. He's also got the standard projectile pool. Zest MN3 is a duo, kind of raises their stock to me together. If they
Sure.
were individuals, I think maybe okay, well they'd still be good. But as a duo, they have that kind of duo buff, right? They have that set bonus coming in,
They complement
like
each other. Is what I'm hearing.
like a primary and an offhand for a barbarian, right?
I like that.
A
I like
two-piece set bonus is what they bring to the table. And they complement each other so well because they both play Tracer and they both, cover their own roles exceptionally well.
Yep.
So, in a very traditional projectile and hit scan composition, they're going to be fine. They're going to be very, very good. Double projectile might be a bit of a double flex is going to be maybe a little bit of a miss for Fusion this year. That's probably the one weakness of their squad. I don't think I've really seen MN3 play too much of the non-hit scan roles.
Mhm.
And that's same with Zest, but the opposite way around. Definitely really haven't seen Carpe play anything off his
It's been
traditional
fucking
hit scans.
years.
So, that being the case, unless we get into double projectile, I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be a very DPS front-loaded heavy team.
For sure.
Dude,
No.
I have a proposition. Okay, Chengdu collapses, right?
Okay.
Joseph Marsh throws the book at Chengdu. Bring in Leave. Shanghai Killer.
They have to change the entire team dynamic from a Korean team to an English-speaking
as
team.
much as it is like
For one player.
but
For one player.
No. Leave's worth it. Trust.
To be fair, they did have to do that last year, but they did that last year under the knowledge that they were going to do that last year anyway.
Yes.
Okay.
But they don't have any English coaches this year. It's just a completely different situation.
Once again, I have to ask: would Leave actually be the highest value upgrade, or would you just take two of those backlines?
Gaga again.
No.
Just take Gaga again.
Wouldn't you just go?
Why not? Gaga and Fury. You don't think that's good?
No,
It would be good,
if
but
you're actually if you actually want to support from that team, you take Faraway.
That's
Faraway and
Cash out.
Ivalta or whatever. Like,
Gaga again.
No, you can't take Eveltal. Eveltal does not come in Korean.
right.
You
Neither
don't.
does
I mean, you
Leave.
don't. Well, you don't take any of the support players. Yeah, but I'm memeing when I was actually saying Leave. Now I'm being serious.
Oh, okay.
You think they were actually? There's no way that they would buy Leave.
Do you have like toys on the brain? Like, what is up with this like hypothetical?
What, me?
Why is it always Chengdu too?
I think
get,
who
like,
else
they're,
would
like,
he's
be
opening
breaking
a
up,
toy
but-
store.
What-
He's
what do you
opening
mean?
Germany's Toys R Us.
Dude,
True.
oh.
What do
He's
you
gonna
mean?
be Jeffrey the Giraffe.
Rest in pieces, Toys R Us, by the way.
Rest in
Amazon-
peace,
Oh, they
Chengdu
not a thing
Hunters.
anymore? Okay.
Oh yeah, they went out of business like a long time ago. Yo, Amazon
okay.
came in and said that giraffe meat looking good. Gave me
I'm not
that
gonna lie
shit.
to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't buy toys, so I wouldn't know.
Sure.
Hey,
That's fair.
it was a big deal here in the States, man. We
poured one out for Jeff. Jeff the
on
Giraffe.
CNN. Jeff the Giraffe had a really sad leaving. He had a suitcase, waved goodbye, and we never saw him again.
Yep. He left to go get cigarettes and milk. Anywho, Fusion. Yeah, I'm here with my pamphlet. I said it earlier in the episode. Like,
Yeah.
I'm here to be surprised. I think this is going to be a good team. I think this is an upgraded team. I think they will provide a lot of stability. And yeah, it starts with the DPS, and I like what I'm hearing. Simple as.
Cool. Everyone likes the DPS. Very good.
My thing is like, no, I think, yeah, I think is there anyone like that you think would reasonably be an upgrade that they could have competed for? Because I don't know.
DPS.
Yeah, I don't know like what the
Whopper?
bag situation is.
Yeah, that's
The bag situation is for Philly. It feels like they're a little bit slimmer than in past years.
Yeah. Yep.
But like,
Just from the fact that they have a smaller roster speaks to me that they are going slimmer.
dude. They gotta
Yeah.
pay the T1W kids, not T1W, T1 kids.
still
Because-
they do still
because-
have that. Yeah, true.
Because if you were working on the same budget as previous years, even if you go full Korean, I mean, especially if you're going full Korean, you get like 8 or 9 people. Fusion have always gone, not even 8 or 9, 7. Even them going 7 would speak volumes. But any team that's going bare minimum 6 is like, we don't want to spend on more.
Yeah.
Which
Look,
I'm
man,
not saying like that's awful. You know, not
They gotta
Maybe you
hold
can still-
down. gotta hold down Gumayushi. Okay, they can't get rid. They gotta put that money somewhere else.
Speaking of innovation, that's a different team. However, Fusion. Those the real ones will understand. Yeah, I like it. I think Philly will be good.
So you're asking me if they could have been a better pickup. I assume if Philly wanted to spend and they wanted to go hard in the offseason, they probably should have competed for someone like Proper. Because I think Fusion would have been a great landing place for someone like Proper.
Yep.
And maybe even other O2 players. And you know, they're a team that's Philly's based in Korea now, that's attractive to Korean players. They've historically offered decent salaries. They've historically been a good team, even though they've been a bit choky, but they've historically had good results. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I don't mind that
roster,
DPS that much. Yeah.
Roster, I hope they build would have been closer to the direction that Shock was going, but yeah, the O2 core ended up going to Shock, and other O2 pieces went to Dallas and Seoul and whatnot. So
yeah.
Yep. All right. Fury. Solo tank. We've talked a lot about solo tanks today.
True.
I think maybe we're slightly warm into the idea of solo tank. Certainly 8 out of 20 teams are pretty keen on solo tank. Just saying.
Yeah.
Maybe Fury is one of the few tanks in that position that we trust more as a solo.
Yeah. I mean, when you're looking at a solo tank, I definitely would put a flex over a main. If I'm going to be completely honest. And that's some like tea leaf reading. That's complete just like assumption on my behalf. I look at, you know, the historical demand that a main tank has had. I look at the historical demand that a flex tank has had. You know, you put the napkin math together. You know, I personally believe that flex tanks are a little bit more skilled across the board, or at least the older variety. And Fury has stood the test of time. He's done everything and anything, and I think he will be a great solo tank in general. Not only just for the Fusion, but just in the league. I think when we start to judge, you know, these 8 teams and how their solo tanks are performing, I think Fury will be up there for sure.
Yeah, I would have Fury's like one of the tanks that I would have a lot more a lot of trust in to be like the solo tank player, more so than a lot of the other ones. Yeah, especially from the flex tank role, which I do agree with Joe. I think that there is something potentially be said about flex tanks for it being easier to move to like playing the main tanks from the flex tank role than it is the main tank role. I think it's like for flex tank starters, it's like him, False, Peluge are like the 3 that I can think of that are like the solo ones. And I think he is the best out of those 3. And then like in the main tanks, I think he's like if those 8 teams that have solo like tanks, Fury's probably like either 1 or 2 in terms of players that I would be like, this person can do it well enough. And he's like probably behind Gaga in my eyes is like the one other.
I think Fury had a rough run last year. I'm maybe a little concerned about how he went in Washington, but I guess I'm more willing to give him the benefit of the doubt from his previous stint on the Fusion. And also in London. I think he's been historically one of the best off tanks. I just don't know what happened on Fusion. I try my best not to, you know, have that as a mark against him too much, but it does. It bothers me a little bit. It does bother me a little bit. I can't help it.
Sure.
You know, it scratches my brain a little bit, and I can't help but just scratch that itch because every time I'm like, yeah, Fury's gonna be great. Then part of my brain is like, what about last year?
Yeah.
So,
it's tough. It's hard not to.
Washington was a team.
Yeah, I have my opinions, but I'm gonna keep those to myself.
Yeah, we're in APAC. We're not.
Yeah, exactly. We're here with the Fusion. If you're gonna be good, I think I'll be strong.
I think Fury can compete with Sashin.
Incredible. What a bold take, Yiska. I'm so
Yiska.
proud of you for having your own thought. Did anybody lead you there? Scrimbucks point you in that direction?
Where's your North Star?
I'm farming reactions. No, like Fury. I think there's reason to believe that Fury is not the powerhouse he once was. Like, let's be honest, this kid was some genetically engineered cyborg during GOATs, and of course also in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, probably fair to say that it slowed down a little bit after that. I don't think he's the gold standard for off tanks anymore, or wasn't, because like I think there was quite a difference between Void, Hanbin, and then the Fury tier.
Yep.
But yeah, maybe like this, there's always the grass is greener on the other side type of situation. I think like the reunion is probably a good sign, because I imagine that there's several things that could happen. I think Fury and Kape are on pretty good terms, probably friends. But like either Fury wanted to be assured a starting position, or like he just like realized that this works and that Fusion was a good environment after all, right? Now they're also
assured a starting position. You cannot have a second tank. I must be the only tank.
Yeah, I think it's a new challenge. I think like it's definitely helping that he will be in Korea for this at the T1 facilities. So I don't know. I think this is a good fit. This is probably reasonably, for where the Fusion were during that time in the offseason, the best pickup they could have made. Because you're not getting Hanbin, you're not getting Void. You probably should maybe be getting a main tank. I would have liked that more. What's the T1 main tank? Could they have promoted someone?
Bellisria. How old is he? I can't remember.
Not Bellisria, please.
He is 18 now. January 10.
It's all right. I think if you wanted to back up for Fury, maybe, but Fury, if you have only got space for one tank, then Fury is your go-to.
Mm.
And here's the other thing: if you've only got space for one tank because you're going for a 6-man roster, and you've already got 3 DPS and you have no room for a secondary tank, then you have to go with Fury.
Fair. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about like I think Fury's a known entity. The role isn't, so we'll see how this goes.
So now we get to the most exciting part of the roster. Fixer Aim God. I will be straight. I did cast Aim God, but I didn't get a lot of Fixer. I know that people that did look over NA felt like Uprising Academy was pretty good. And maybe you'd be willing to give Fixer a free pass because Uprising Academy was good. Fixer was part of that roster. As I know, he probably wasn't a super exciting player, but Jin obviously liked him enough to pick him over Unique. That's something we discussed. We talked about during the Guangzhou Charge discussion. Aim God is a very he's a very he's a player that will kind of get the job done for you on that roster. I'm not super excited about the Aim God pickup. I think it's a redemption arc for him to rejoin the league and give it another shot. But yeah, he's a real journeyman player that's not going to be super wowing anybody. I think he's had some good moments. I think we look back on Boston, he was pretty decent.
Oh, for sure.
Even though that team had issues. He had that stint on Washington as well. That didn't really pick up steam until the playoffs with the Hog stuff. Yeah, I think he's just been a league average player. That's probably what he'll just remain. You know what you're getting with Aim God. He's not a rookie. You know what he brings to the table. He's not going to be a world beater. You're not getting a Twilight out of this guy, but he's probably not going to be awful. He's not going to be a bad player. He's going to be a league average kind of player, in my opinion.
I know a lot of the CC guys spoke pretty highly of him, at least from like what I was able to hear. Like they really liked playing with him and thought that he was pretty good for the team. So I think having that is definitely good. Obviously, you could have like tried to go for someone like, I guess Jonak could have been an option if he was floating around. I think that this does feel though a little bit like they probably missed out on a couple of other flex supports that they were trying to get.
I think Joe and I prefer to go to Seoul, to be honest with you. And even
Well,
then,
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
it's just him. I think like they probably
Yeah.
wanted to get Twilight. I
Yes.
think that there were
Okay,
probably a couple of others.
Kenobi, this is my hypothetical for you because I think, like, given that Twilight went to Toronto, this was probably a bag determined decision, right?
Yeah.
So theoretically, Fusion could have solved this with a bag. Now
is it the
take
case that like
so
Go on,
really
sorry.
quickly, take the Toronto backline, put them into Fusion. Where do you rank them?
much higher,
Super high, dude.
much higher?
Not,
Oh.
Was that the first orgasm on TCP?
it might as well have been.
Wow.
I mean,
And that came from Joe, who hates Toronto. So I mean, that's got to count for something.
AimGod also was not a buyout player, so that's not. He's just a fucking.
Ah,
He's a
okay.
CC boy.
Was
who
he not?
didn't-
CC have bios though.
I don't think they. I mean, not after the season. I think they 1 year everyone, unless they re-sign them.
Right.
And Eric
Unless
raises a valid
unless
point.
AIM got out a 2 year, that would have been crazy.
Eric raises a valid point that they only had to make this decision, of course, after
Alarm, of course.
after Alarm, and
Yeah.
by that time,
Where
a lot of
people were signed. Yeah.
Mm. Unfortunate. Sucks. Definitely.
Yeah. The timing.
Yeah.
The timing definitely fucks some stuff up. Unfortunately, not that it's
Yeah.
anyone's fault. It's just
No,
is what
no.
it is.
yeah.
It is just unlucky, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate because you don't have anybody else. It's not like they have another player that you can be excited about in that back line. It's just it is what it is, and you have
That's
to just
fine.
kind of hope. You kind of just have to hope it's enough. I don't know how much playmaking supports will be doing in Overwatch 2.
Mhm.
Maybe it'll be a lot, maybe it won't be. And if it's not, then you're kind of hoping that, you know, Fixer and Aim God can just kind of do the jobs assigned to them,
Mhm.
not throw, not break, not get farmed, and then let the M and 3 Zest duo just do the heavy lifting. Let Fury do a bit of heavy lifting. But M and 3 and Zest are good enough to get you across the line as long as the rest of the team isn't dragging them down. So that's kind of what they're hoping for. But Fusion are playing in a, again, depending on what Chengdu is doing with their roster, playing in a pretty competitive region where even the teams that we're like wishy-washy on, like, I don't know, hey, they could take you down on a day that you're not ready. Like,
Mhm.
there's roster quality there that can definitely take you down if you're not prepared for it.
Agreed. The range that I think we're all about to give this team is going to be kind of indicative of that. And yeah, I would agree.
Rankings time. I am of the opinion that Fusion will not be last in the region. No way.
Mhm.
I think MN3 and Zest will easily carry this team across the board,
Mm.
even in games, like across most games. Look, they could lose to Valiant, but that doesn't mean they'll come last in the season, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mm.
Individual games is anybody's game, but full season rankings, 24 matches, bro, they're not coming. They're not going to have an awful record there. It'll be a mid record, if anything, if they don't have a good season. I'm willing to say maybe in the 4 to 6 range. I wanted to say 3 to 6, but I think that's a little optimistic. So let's just say 4 to 6 is a pretty comfortable range. I think that a battle for 4th place will be very interesting.
Yes, agreed.
Mhm.
And Fusion will definitely be one of the teams battling for that 4th place.
Yeah, I think I have them also 4 to 6, with 3 being like super omega hard peak if if everything just works out for them. Which I don't think it will, but they won't be last. I think that they're like Valiant is not good enough to handle this team or like to consistently be better. I think overall I had Fusion 10th in like world. I think they're middle of the pack over the entirety of the Overwatch League. But like I think based on what I mean, I hear a lot about, this M and 3 Zest duo. That's very, very good. And if it's as good as people are saying, and there's people who are like, there are a lot of people who have told me, these two are kind of the real deal. So, like Joe said, get out the pamphlet and let's get surprised.
Yeah, echoing some similar sentiments. I think 4-6 in APAC is more than fair. I think it's a tough region, and they're going to be a team to do some really good things. And Philly fans can be excited because I think you're looking at a top 10 team globally. Where they settle. Go ahead.
Can they be excited about that? Because
I
they've
think-
been well within top 10 previously. What their biggest problem is they haven't been able to break into a title win.
Agreed.
And
100%.
this is probably the season where they're least likely to even attempt to make a title run.
Yep. I can't fight that feeling. But what I hear is that a lot of people are concerned with the rookies. A lot of people are concerned with this back line, the solo tank. Like there's a lot of questions for these like hardcore Philly fans. And I think it's a safe roster that's going to like compete and do well. Maybe they show up maybe mid-season, maybe fucking MN3 smurfing on kids in APAC and they get a ticket and they're gonna compete. They're gonna look good. It's a good start for the future for Philadelphia. However, you look at this roster, you look how lean and mean it is, like Yiska and AVRL have said. It's a building block. I think this is a good start. Not a world beater, a start.
Yeah, your heart won't be smashed into a gorillion pieces as a Fusion fan as you try to contest for a title that you never can find.
You won't be disappointed this season because you're not going to be in a position to. You're not even going to be in a position to compete for a title anyway. So
there you
go. Can't be disappointed.
Sometimes it's just better, if it's never a possibility.
Yeah. Can't come second if you don't make a grand final.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yiska.
I think, depending on what happens with Chengdu, I think they have potential for third.
Okay.
I think 3 to 5 makes sense to me.
Okay.
Under the pretense that Hunters will lose like substantial play. Yeah, I mean, sorry, Kenobi. We have to deal with the reality. We have to confront heartbreak.
Yeah, you're so happy, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I would have really liked to see a Predator Leaf just play out the season with Gaga, and like, I hope they still like only sell like the excess supports, and that is enough to, And then I still think they should be third.
Yiska says as he's been trying to sell off Gaga this entire episode.
Yeah. I mean, if you're killing this team, you might as well pick it for all of its parts, right? Like, there's no point letting like the Ferrari stand on the trash yard just because someone wanted the wheels. Like just sell the entire thing then. But I think I have a hard time seeing them below Charge and Spark, and then probably they are likely to land above the Valiant. So that already locks in 5th place, right? Yep. So yeah, 3 to 5 makes sense to me.
I like the optimism. I was very tempted to give them 3. Very tempted. And I think the 6 I gave them was maybe a little harsh. But I have to take into account that they have a minimalist roster, low flexibility, good players, but a few question marks. I'm probably not as high on Fury as everybody else just because that last year tainted my opinion of him just a little bit. So to me, it's just like DPS carry and the rest of the team, please don't be too heavy. But maybe they figure it out. Maybe mid-season something good happens for them. Maybe their DPS are even better than I'm saying. And I'm saying they're pretty good, but maybe they could be even better than that. Like, who knows? Like, maybe it's a really heavy DPS kind of game and meta, and MN3's just unbelievable. That's what you would hope for. If you're Fusion fan, you want that. You are hoping for that. What I can say is the rookies coming in should be pretty good. The rookies coming in is not what I'm worried about on this team. It's the old guard. It's the 3 old guard members that I'm more worried about. It's the rookies, strangely, is the area that I feel better about this team.
Right.
So ironically, that's probably the opposite of where the Fusion fans have been, because they've been pretty down on the rookies, probably because they haven't seen them before.
Yeah. True.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, fellas, that was our final team. We've previewed all 20
done it.
now. Thank you, Kenobi, for being here for the APAC portion. Did all
Please
7
God.
in one go, kind of. I know it's early morning for you now, so we'll allow
There's
people to
light
depart, do their
outside.
things. I know. You've seen the light. And here we are. Philadelphia Fusion done and dusted. APAC Part 2. Thanks for tuning in. This is TCP rather, episode 226. The next time we'll see you guys will be soon-ish. More content. We're getting close to season. We still got to do power rankings. We still have to preview the actual matches, so stay tuned. We'll see you for 227 and beyond. Catches.